Chapter 1016. 1016 The Five Great Beauties of Central Continent. The three of them found an inn to stay in and waited for the battle to begin. Lu Ming made the best use of his time to comprehend the Earth concept while tempering his essential core and concept at the same time. 2 days passed by in a flash. After 2 days, countless figures flew toward the Pillar of Heaven's mountains. Lu Ming and the other two blended into the crowd and arrived near the Pillar of Heaven's mountain. When they arrived, they realized that the area was already surrounded by people. At a glance, there were no less than 10,000 people. From this, one could see the influence of a second-grade Heaven's favorite in the Central Continent. The Central Continent was vast. It was 7 to 8 times the size of the East Baron. It was filled with talented people and experts. However, in such a vast land, how many second-grade geniuses were there? Below the 5 young tyrants were the second-grade Heaven's favorites. There were only 20 of them, and it was rare to see one. In the Battle of Providence, most people were not qualified to watch the battle. That was why so many people had come this time. They all wanted to see what level a second-grade Heaven's favorite had reached and what terrifying level his battle prowess had reached. In the crowd, there were old men and a few youths in their teens. These youths were the most excited. They were the younger generation and had missed the Battle of Providence. They wanted to see how powerful the Heaven's favorites who were half a generation older than them were. This would motivate them. So many experts. Chu Kuang's eyes swept across the crowd. He discovered many Heaven's favorites who were on par with him. They were third-grade Heaven's favorites. There were also some who were not third-grade Heaven's favorites but were still extraordinary. For example, Hai Ziming, Wukong, Ling Yunkong and Lu Ming from the Floating Mountain. There were even a few elders standing in the sky, exuding an astonishing aura. They were clearly spiritual God realm existences. This battle had even attracted the attention of spiritual God realm existences. Suddenly, demonic chi rushed to the sky. A black-robed young man stepped through the air and attracted everyone's attention. Jianghu, the Jianghu of Demon Mountain. Someone exclaimed when they saw the young man. Demon Mountain Jianghu is also here. Zhang Wenjin and Chu Kuang also exclaimed. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He could not help but look at Jianghu carefully. During this period of travel, Lu Ming had also inquired Chu Kuang and Zhang Wenjing about many things regarding the Central Continent. Chu Kuang had talked the most about the Heaven's pride of the younger generation. Lu Ming had some understanding of the Heaven's favorites of the Central Continent. Of course, it was mainly the top 5 young warriors, 20 or so second-grade Heaven's favorites, and the various overlords. Demon Mountain was also one of the overlords of Central Continent, and Jianghu was one of the 20 second-grade Heaven's favorites. He's indeed very strong and terrifying. He's definitely a Heaven's favorite on the level of an emperor god. Lu Ming sized up Jianghu and pondered in his heart. Jianghu gave him a very dangerous feeling. It was obvious that the battle between Yin Bupo and Blood Luo Zi had attracted the attention of Heaven's favorites of the same level. Jianghu stood in the air with his hands behind his back. He looked straight ahead as if no one could attract his attention. He didn't even look at the spiritual God realm experts as if he didn't care at all. Indeed, with his talent, it was only a matter of time before he broke through to the spiritual God realm. In the future he would definitely reach the Supreme Being realm. His goal was to become an emperor. How could he care about ordinary spiritual gods? The crowd continued to wait. The pure space spirit. The pure space spirit of the Floating Mountain. Suddenly the crowd let out another cry. Junior sister Kong Ling is here. Chu Kuang's eyes lit up as he looked at the sky. A young woman wearing a long watercolored veil was stepping on the air and approaching. Her entire body was filled with water vapor. She looked like she was in her 20s. Her beauty was unparalleled and could cause the downfall of a country. Her graceful figure was faintly discernible in the water vapor. She was barefooted, and her 2 jade-like feet were like the most beautiful piece of art in the world. With every step she took, a cloud would appear in the sky. She was walking on the cloud as she walked over. The scene was silent, as if everyone's eyes were attracted by this woman. So she's the pure spatial spirit. As expected, she's peerless in beauty. Lu Ming could not help but sigh in admiration. Chu Kuang was ranked second in the Floating Mountain sect, while the number 1 Heaven's favorite of the Floating Mountain sect was Jing Kongling. She was a woman with terrifying talent. At the same time, she was also a second-grade Heaven's favorite. She was as famous as Jianghu and Yin Bupo. Furthermore, Jing Kongling was one of the 5 great beauties of the Central Continent. Everyone in the Central Continent knew her. For the past few days, Chu Kuang and Zhang Wenjin had mentioned her to Lu Ming many times. Lu Ming had long been curious about this unparalleled beauty. Lu Ming could not help but compare all the women he had met with the pure and ethereal spirit. He realized that only Xian Yanqing could compare to the pure and ethereal spirit. The others, such as Mulan and Qiuyu, were slightly inferior. Jing Kongling, I didn't expect you to be attracted to this battle. Junyue's gaze finally moved as he looked towards Jing Kongling. A fiery light flashed in the depths of his eyes. Didn't you come too? The pure void spirit spoke softly. His voice was calm, and when it entered one's ears, it gave one a very comfortable feeling. It was as if it could calm one's restless heart. Just like her name, she was like an ethereal fairy, untainted by even a speck of dust. Brother Jun, Sister Kongling, you're early. A sweet and clear voice was heard. Not far away, another woman stepped on the air and arrived. This woman looked younger than Jing Kongling, but her looks were not any worse than Jing Kongling's. Her little face was a little pale, but she had a kind of sickly beauty that made people want to go up and protect her. Medicine King's Valley's goddess Tan Xiang. Many people widened their eyes. Another second-grade heaven's favorite, and one of the 5 beauties of the central continent. Many people felt that they were going crazy. They felt that this trip was too worth it. This time, the main characters of the 2 duels had yet to arrive, and there were already peerless geniuses who had arrived. Even 2 of the 5 beauties of the central continent were here. It's worth it, it's too worth it. Many people have crossed hundreds of millions of miles to see one of the 5 great beauties, but they can't even get it. Today they can see 2 of the 5 great beauties. What's not worth it? Fairy Tan Xiang. Chu Kuang's eyes also lit up as he stared at goddess Tan Xiang like a lecherous pervert, causing Zhang Wenjin, who was standing beside him, to feel quite displeased. In fact, Zhang Wenjin was also a rare beauty, but compared to Jing Kongling and goddess Tan Xiang, she was far behind. Sister Tan Xiang, why are you here? The pristine void spirit stepped forward and came to the side of goddess Tan Xiang. The 2 of them stood together. Almost everyone's eyes fell on the 2 women. Many people's eyes were burning with passion, but no one dared to flirt or even hit on them. Although the 2 women were beautiful, they were also Heaven's Pride experts whose names shook the world. They were extremely terrifying. Whoever dared to flirt with them would die without even knowing how they died. Haha, I didn't expect that the 2 fairies would come. The scene is truly honored. A loud laugh was heard. In the distance, a bolt of lightning flashed. The next moment, a young man in purple feather clothes appeared on the top of Sky Pillar Mountain. This young man had cold eyes, an aquiline nose, and extremely sharp eyes that flashed with lightning. In Bupo. Someone called out the person's name. Finally, one of the 2 people in today's battle had appeared. Chapter 1017. 1017 The battle between second-grade heaven's favorites. In Bupo, why don't you look in the mirror? Do you think the 2 fairies came for you? From another direction, a sneer could be heard. With a flash of blood-red light, a young man in a blood-red robe appeared on the other side of the pillar of heaven's mountain. This young man's face was slightly pale, but he was very handsome and gave off a feminine feeling. Master Shualuo, you look like you're half dead. Are the 2 fairies here to see you? In Bupo sneered. Each of the 5 beauties of the central continent was not only beautiful but also talented. Naturally, they had countless suitors, including many second-grade heaven's favorites and even the 5 young tycoons. There had been rumors before that In Bupo and Blood Luozi were both suitors of goddess Tan Xiang. At this moment, the 2 heaven's favorites arrived. Everyone's eyes finally moved away from Jing Kongling and goddess Tan Xiang to In Bupo and Master Shualuo. Today, the 2 of them were about to engage in a world-shaking battle. Lu Ming also looked at the 2 of them. Whether the second-grade Heaven's Pride experts of the central continent were on the same level as the Emperor God would soon be known. In Bupo, you managed to escape with your life in the last battle of Providence. Today I'll kill you completely. Shualuo Zi sneered. Haha, just you? You're the one who will die today. In Bupo sneered. He let out a long cry and turned into a huge godly eagle. The godly eagle was covered with terrifying lightning power. In Bupo was not a human but a demon. The Sky Eagle Castle was the demon clan's power. Most of them were all kinds of eagle-type demon beasts. Of course, there were also many other bird-type demon beasts, but most of them were eagle-type demon beasts. It was said that the lord of the Sky Eagle Castle was a powerful eagle emperor. Yin Bupo had the bloodline of the divine beast, the mysterious thunder sacred eagle, and the concentration of the bloodline was extremely shocking. Boom. Although Shui Luozi spoke casually, he did not dare to underestimate his opponent. His aura burst out and a blood-red light shot up into the sky. Kill? Yin Bupo roared and flapped his wings. The terrifying power of thunder gathered and turned into a thunder sword, slashing at Blood Luozi. Blood River Divine Blade. Shui Luozi clenched his fist in the air. Endless blood light gathered and turned into a blood-red long blade. He shouted and slashed out. The blood-red blade light slashed down and the void rippled like water. It collided with the lightning sword. Boom, boom, boom. The sword chi and saber radiance swept in all directions. Many of the weaker cultivators were shocked and retreated. Lu Ming, Chu Kuang and Zhang Wenjin stood still and observed the scene carefully. Yin Bupo and Shui Luozi exchanged dozens of moves in the blink of an eye. Blood Luozi, I haven't seen you for more than half a year. You haven't improved much. Yin Bupo sneered. It's more than enough to suppress you. Shui Luozi sneered. Is that so? Yin Bupo sneered. He flapped his wings and let out a long hiss. The blood in his body boiled and the sky was filled with lightning. The endless lightning seemed to fill the sky. Buzz. Yin Bupo's wings seemed to have turned into blades of lightning, cutting through everything and slashing towards Blood Luozi. The bloodthirsty swirled. Shui Luozi let out a long cry. His blood chi soared into the sky, and a semicircular blood light cover spread out. A terrifying devouring power spread out. Even from a distance, many people could feel their blood stirring as if it was going to leave their bodies. Cold Blood Hall's bloodthirsty technique. Chu Kuang's face was solemn. Lu Ming's expression changed. He felt that this bloodthirsty technique was somewhat similar to the Nine Dragons' devouring power. However, the bloodthirsty technique only targeted blood and was far less domineering than the Nine Dragons' devouring power. Boom. Yin Bupo's blade of lightning slashed at the blood-colored light screen, creating a deafening sound. However, he was also affected by the bloodthirsty technique. The blood in his body was restless and his combat power was affected. He could not use his full strength. Squeak. An ear-piercing sound was heard. A giant bat appeared above Blood Luozi's head. This bat was blood-red all over, and its eyes were extremely cold, filled with a bloodthirsty glow. Blood-winged sky bat was an extremely terrifying godly beast. Obviously, Shui Luozi's bloodline was a blood-winged sky bat. Around the blood-winged sky bat, there were 8 bright and dazzling chakras. Divine level rank 8 bloodline. The bloodline level of Blood Luozi was the same as that of the Divine Emperor. Shui Luozi performed bloodline fusion and turned into a blood-winged bat, fighting with Yin Bupo. A terrifying force shot out and the space kept shaking as if it would be torn apart at any time. It was completely distorted. The terrifying force spread out for thousands of miles. Many mountains were swept by the force and turned into dust in an instant. However, most of the energy landed on the Pillar of Heaven's mountains. It seemed like the Pillar of Heaven's mountains was really made from the weapons of ancient experts. The terrifying energy landed on the Pillar of Heaven's mountains, but it was not damaged at all. At most, it only left a few marks on it. In the blink of an eye, the two of them exchanged over 100 moves, and there was still no clear winner. Heavens so strong, too strong. Is this the combat strength of a second-grade Heaven's favorite? An old man at the great circle of the spirit embryo realm gasped in shock. He had a feeling that with his cultivation of the great circle of the spirit embryo realm, not to mention exchanging blows with the two, even if he were to charge forward and get within 100 meters of the two, he would be ground into pieces by the terrifying energy. A martial artist at the great circle of the spirit embryo realm would not be able to resist at all. Their cultivation should be at the peak of the 9th level of the spirit embryo realm, but their combat strength is too terrifying. They're probably close to the spirit god realm? Even if they can't really fight with a spiritual god, they won't be too far off. If they break through to the perfected spirit embryo realm, they might really be able to fight with a spiritual god realm powerhouse. Terrifying. A spirit embryo that can battle a spirit god. Too terrifying. The onlookers discussed as they watched. They were extremely shocked. Even a few spiritual god realm powerhouses had grave expressions. He's indeed powerful. He's definitely a heaven's favorite on the same level as an emperor god. Lu Ming pondered in his heart, his gaze a little solemn. Now he was sure that the second-grade Heaven's Pride experts of the central continent must be at the level of sovereign gods. It was amazing that there were more than 20 of such Heaven's Pride experts. I wonder what realm the Emperor God has reached? Lu Ming thought to himself. Half a year ago, the Emperor God's cultivation was at the peak of the 8th level spirit embryo realm. Now that more than half a year had passed, it was normal for the Emperor God to reach the peak of the 9th level spirit embryo realm. It was even possible for him to reach the perfected spirit embryo realm. If they met, he would still be a great enemy of Lu Ming. With my current combat strength, am I a match for them? Lu Ming was secretly measuring his combat strength. In the War of Providence, Lu Ming had suppressed the Emperor God by combining the Inscription Dao and the Dao of Inscription. However, the Emperor God had not been defeated one-sided. Now that Lu Ming's refinement path and martial arts were separated, his combat power was slightly weaker. However, as compared to the Battle of Providence, Lu Ming had cultivated the water concept. The fusion of 5 types of concepts had an astonishing power, much stronger than 4 types of concepts. Even without the Dao of Inscription, Lu Ming's combat strength was still powerful. He was confident that he could suppress his opponent in a battle of the same level. However, they were in the central continent now. In order to prevent his identity from being exposed, Lu Ming could not use some of his techniques. He could not fully unleash his dragon power either, which greatly reduced his combat strength. In addition, Lu Ming's current cultivation was only at the peak of the 8th level spirit embryo realm. If he were to encounter either Blood Luo Zi or Yin Bupo, he would not be a match for them. I have to improve my cultivation as soon as possible. If I reach the 9th level of the spirit embryo realm and reach the same level as them, I won't be afraid of them even if I can't fight the bloodline fusion. Lu Ming kept thinking. Chapter 10:18. 1089th level spirit embryo realm. The heavens and earth trembled continuously. Half of the sky was filled with lightning while the other half was filled with blood chi. The lightning and the blood-red light kept clashing and clashing. No one could see Yin Bupo and Shui Luozi's figures at all. They could only see light and shadow intertwining. This battle lasted for 2 hours. The lightning and blood light in the sky dissipated at the same time. 2 figures stood on one side of the sky, gasping for breath. Their eyes were sharp and serious as they stared at each other. It was a draw. It was said that in the Battle of Providence, the 2 of them exchanged thousands of moves and ended up in a draw. Today it was the same. Blood Luozi, I didn't expect you to have some skills. You're lucky today. Yin Bupo said coldly. I should be the one saying that. I'll spare your life today. Shui Luozi also sneered. The 2 of them didn't continue to fight. They had exchanged 1,000 moves just now, and the 2 of them had used up a lot of their energy. Moreover, there were many experts around them, so they had to leave some strength to guard against someone who might attack them in the dark. It seems like they won't fight again this time. It's a draw again. Shui Luozi and Yin Bupo are really strong opponents. That's true. Sky Eagle Castle and Cold Blood Hall are close to each other. The 2 forces have been fighting each other for a long time. Yin Bupo and Master Blood Luo have been fighting since they were young, but there has never been a winner between them. But this is a good thing. With a lifelong opponent, their progress is amazing. It's good to have an opponent. This is a golden era with countless geniuses. In the past, geniuses like Yin Bupo and Master Blood Luo would definitely be invincible. But today there are more than 20 of them, and there are even the stronger top 5 young warriors. Many people in the surroundings couldn't help but sigh. There were too many Heaven's favorites in this generation. Second-grade Heaven's favorites like Yin Bupo and Shui Luozi had the chance to break through to the martial royal realm. In the past, it was considered good if there were 2 or 3 of them in each generation. But in this generation there were over 20 of them, and even the more powerful 5 overlords. Even the Eastern Barren Territory, Southern Nether, Northern Plains, and Western Desert were filled with talents. Heaven's Pride experts were like clouds, and all of them were competing with each other. This was a brilliant golden age. Everyone knew that this battle was over, and some people were preparing to leave. Everyone, Tan Xiang is preparing to host the Alchemy King's banquet in 7 days. I'd like to invite all of you to have a drink and discuss Dao. Would you all be willing to give this little girl some face? At this moment, a clear and melodious voice sounded. It was Fairy Tan Xiang. Everyone's eyes lit up. Haha, it's a once-in-a-thousand-years opportunity for Goddess Tan Xiang to personally host the Pill King banquet. How can I not go? Demon Mountain Junyu was the first to speak, his eyes shining. Many thanks, Brother Jun. Fairy Tan Xiang bowed slightly. It's our honor to be able to attend the Pill King banquet organized by Goddess Tan Xiang. As long as Fairy doesn't mind, I'll definitely pay you a visit. The others all rushed to speak, hoping to attract Goddess Tan Xiang's attention. Then this little sister thanks everyone. This little sister will take her leave first. Everyone can stay in the Pill City for the time being, and head to the Pill King Academy in 7 days. With that said, Fairy Tan Xiang bowed slightly, then stepped on the air and left. After that, Jing Kongling also turned around and left like a fairy in the clouds. Yin Bupo will fight another day. Shui Luozi turned into a ray of blood light and left. Yin Bupo laughed coldly and also left. After that, the others also dispersed. Brother Chu, what is the Pill King banquet? Lu Ming asked Chu Kuang. The people of the Valley of the Medicine Masters are all alchemists who mainly refine pills. The pills of the Valley of the Medicine Masters are well known all over the world, and some of the outstanding heroes of the Valley of the Medicine Masters will, from time to time, melt their proudest pills into fine wine and invite the world's heroes to come and have a taste, and also make friends with the world's heroes. So, although the Valley of the Medicine Masters is not an overlord force today, its influence is still extremely terrifying. Chu Kuang explained. Lu Ming nodded. This tradition was very special. Let's go to the Pill City first. The Pill King Institution is in the Pill City. Chu Kuang said. Immediately, the three of them flew towards the City of Pills. On the way, Lu Ming learned more about the Valley of the Medicine Masters. The Valley of the Medicine Masters had been an overlord force in the distant past, but now, because they did not have an emperor to hold down the fort, they had stepped down from the throne of overlord force. However, their strength was still very terrifying and could not be underestimated. There was more than one supreme martial artist in the Valley of the Medicine Masters, and they were good at alchemy and had good relations with the major forces. Their potential was no small matter. The city of alchemy was built in the vicinity of the Valley of the Medicine Masters. It was very crowded and lively here. The Valley of the Medicine Masters sold all kinds of elixirs here and also bought all kinds of spiritual herbs and flowers, so it attracted a large number of chambers of commerce to sell and purchase elixirs. The Pill City was not far from the Pillar of Heaven's mountains. In just half a day, the three arrived at the Pill City. So many spirit herbs, so many spirit herbs. Dandan had appeared on Lu Ming's shoulder again, her eyes darting around. On both sides of the city streets, there were spirit herb shops. The rich medicinal fragrance of the elixir shops came from all directions, which made people feel refreshed. No wonder Dandan was looking around. Chu Kuang and Zhang Wenjing glanced at Dandan. They thought that this little turtle was quite interesting. Brother Chu, Miss Wenjing, how about we find a place to stay? Lu Ming said. Lu Ming wanted to find a place to cultivate in seclusion. All right. Chu Kuang and Zhang Wenjin nodded and the three of them found an inn to stay in. In the room of the inn, Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat and his figure disappeared. Only the mountain and river diagram was left floating in the room. In the mountain and river diagram, Lu Ming sat cross-legged on a mountain peak. With a wave of his hand, a large pile of raw gemstones appeared around him. I'll break through to the 9th level of the spirit embryo realm with the Ori rocks. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. The spiritual god expert from Cold Blood Hall had made Lu Ming realize the huge gap between him and a spiritual god expert. This time he was under a lot of pressure when he saw the battle between Shui Luozi and Yin Bupo. Now he had many restrictions and his cultivation was not high enough. If he were to fight against heaven's favorites like Blood Luozi and Yin Bupo, he would most likely not be their match. Hence, he needed to increase his strength urgently. Originally, he did not plan to use the raw gemstones to improve his cultivation because the consumption of raw gemstones would definitely be terrifying. He did not have many raw gemstones on him now. He had wanted to keep them as a backup, but he could not care so much now. Improving his strength was the most important thing. Roar! The bloodline of the 9 dragons emerged and swallowed. A terrifying devouring power burst out, shattering tens of thousands of raw gemstones. The majestic original chi was devoured by the bloodline of the 9 dragons and began to be refined rapidly. Circulating the true war dragon technique, the origin chi was constantly refined and transformed into true essence. The true essence gathered in the spirit embryo and was constantly condensed. The spirit embryo became more and more solid, and its size became smaller and smaller. After refining tens of thousands of raw gemstones, another tens of thousands of gemstones were refined. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. In 3 days, Lu Ming had refined more than 300,000 raw gemstones. Soon, with a sharp glint in his eyes, he continued to refine. Another day passed and he had refined nearly 100,000 raw gemstones. Boom. Something seemed to have been broken through. Lu Ming's aura grew and the essential core in his body roared. It was several times more powerful than before. His cultivation broke through and reached the early stage of the 9th level spirit embryo realm. Chapter 1019. 1019 Chapter 1019 Spatial Stone. Boom. At this moment, Lu Ming finally opened his eyes, a look of satisfaction on his face. However, the consumption of the raw gemstones made him feel a little pained. He had refined a total of 400,000 raw gemstones. This was too shocking. However, after his cultivation broke through to the 9th level of the spirit embryo realm, Lu Ming's combat strength had increased by a large margin. His vital essence was vast and abundant, and the prison-suppressing heaven technique could be more powerful. I wonder if I can fight Yin Bupo and Blood Luozi with my current combat power? Lu Ming's heart stirred. Shui Luozi and Yin Bupo were both at the peak of the 9th level spirit embryo realm, while Lu Ming was at the early stage of the 9th level spirit embryo realm. This was similar to his battle with the Emperor God in the Battle of Providence. However, at that time, Lu Ming had to use all his means in the array to suppress the Emperor God. However, Lu Ming did not have the Tao of inscription, but he had integrated the concept of water. If Lu Ming could use all his skills and perform the blood meridian fusion, he was confident that he could suppress Shui Luozi or Yin Bupo. However, if he could not perform the blood meridian fusion, Lu Ming was not confident. But at least, Lu Ming was confident that he would not lose. There's still 3 days before the Pill King banquet, let's go to Pill City first. Lu Ming stood up and walked out of the room. He sensed that Chu Kuang and Zhang Wenjin's rooms were empty. They must have gone out for a walk. The city of pills was like a huge commercial city. There were shops everywhere and there were countless types of spiritual herbs and pills. It was an eye-opener for Lu Ming. In some shops, one could even buy level 8 medicinal pills, but the price was terrifying. In some places, stalls were set up. The stall owners would sell some strange things. Some might be rare treasures while others might just be waste. Such a place was called the Taba area. It was mainly a test of luck. If one was lucky, they might be able to buy something of high value. Of course, one also needed to have good eyesight. This place had attracted a lot of people. There were many people on the street. Lu Ming strolled among the crowd, looking to the east and west. On her shoulder, Dandan's eyes were also looking around. Upon arriving here, Dandan became spirited and declared that with his eyesight, no treasure could escape his eyes. Unfortunately, he didn't find anything after walking around. The things here were strange. Some of the so-called spirit herbs were just weeds on the side of the road and were used to fool people. Some of the abandoned spirit weapons were used as battle weapons from the ancient times. Some people even took a few stones and said that there were rare treasures in the stones. They were also sold at a high price. Once this was sold, it would be a huge profit. That is, Lu Ming, that piece of purple jade in front, yes, the purple jade that the chick is buying. Buy it. It's very useful. Lu Ming was looking around when Dandan's voice suddenly rang in his ears. She looked very excited. Lu Ming's spirit was lifted and he looked forward. 2 young women were standing in front of a stall. One of the young women was taking a purple jade from the stall owner. The purple jade that Dandan was talking about was this one. That purple jade is very ordinary. Could it be a treasure? Lu Ming was surprised. You can't compare to my judgment. Lu Ming, you'll definitely make a big profit if you buy it. Dandan shouted. Lu Ming no longer hesitated. He strode forward to the front of the stall and pretended to take a casual glance at the purple jade in the woman's hand. He said casually, This piece of purple jade is not bad. I can buy it to make a jade pendant for my sister. This big brother, how much is this purple jade? The stall owner was a middle-aged man. He smiled and said, Young master, you're late. This purple jade has just been bought by this lady. You bought it? Lu Ming felt that it was a pity. He then sized up the young woman. The young woman was very beautiful. She was in her 20s and could be considered a rare beauty. Behind her, there was another woman. From her appearance, she should be a maidservant. Miss, can you let me have this purple jade? Lu Ming cupped his fists and said. Hey, my lady bought this piece of purple jade first. Why should she let you have it? The maidservant behind the woman called out first. It's nothing. I just saw that this purple jade is quite beautiful and wanted to buy it to make a jade pendant for my younger sister. Since this young lady has bought it first, then this one will not take it from her. Lu Ming smiled, cupped his fists and was about to leave. Although it was a pity to miss it, Lu Ming would not take it by force since it had already been bought. Young master, please wait. At this moment the young woman called out and Lu Ming stopped. Actually, I only bought this purple jade because I thought it looked good. It's not of much use to me. Since you like it so much, I'll give it to you. The young lady stepped forward and handed the purple jade to Lu Ming. Lu Ming was rather surprised and did not pick it up. Brat, quickly accept it. If you don't, you'll regret it. Dandan constantly transmitted her voice to Lu Ming. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and reached out to take the purple jade. I'm Lu Xiaoqing. Thank you for giving me this jade. I wonder what your name is. If there's a chance in the future, I'll definitely repay you for this jade. I am Zhou Xian. Young Master Lu is too polite. The young woman smiled. So it's Miss Zhou. Miss Zhou is also here to participate in the Pill King banquet? Lu Ming asked. That's right. It seems like young Master Lu has the same purpose as me. Zhou Xian smiled and looked around. After that, the two of them chatted for a while before Lu Ming took his leave. This was because Dandan was urging Lu Ming to go back and cut open the purple jade. There would definitely be a surprise. Miss, why did you give that purple jade to that kid? After Lu Ming left, the maidservant said unhappily. Silly girl, what is this place? This time, there are quite a few young talents from the Pill City who have come to attend the banquet. This man looks extraordinary, so he might be a Heaven's Chosen. Why not use a useless piece of purple jade to make friends with a Heaven's Chosen? Zhou Xian smiled. Mrs. Wise. The servant girl flattered. Very soon Lu Ming returned to the inn. After entering his room, he entered the mountain and river diagram. His palm glowed, and the purple jade appeared in his hand. This piece of purple jade looked very ordinary. Could it be that there was really a rare treasure in the purple jade? Lu Ming cut this purple jade open. Be careful. Dandan instructed. Lu Ming stretched out his finger. His essential core spread out and condensed into a sharp sword, slowly cutting toward the purple jade. The purple jade was about the size of 2 fists. Lu Ming cut it carefully. When he was halfway through, a faint milky white halo spread out. There was really something in the purple jade. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He slowly cut the purple jade around him, leaving behind a milky white jade the size of a longan in his hand. What kind of jade is this? Lu Ming was a little curious. This piece of jade looked ordinary and did not look like a rare treasure at all. Brat, is the dimensional stone considered a rare treasure? Dandan grinned. What? This is a storage elemental stone? Lu Ming's eyes widened. Chapter 1020. 1020 Chapter 1020 Stealing Medicine. Lu Ming was overjoyed to find that it was a Nanyuan stone. The Nanyuan stone was a very mysterious treasure because it could store a warrior's true yuan. A warrior only needed to put their true qi into the storage yuan stone in advance and store it. When they needed to use it, they could directly absorb the true qi from the storage yuan stone, because it was originally the warrior's own true qi, so there was no need to convert it and it could be used directly. This way he didn't have to worry about his true essence being exhausted. The Nanyuan stone was a rare treasure for a warrior. Sometimes it could save one's life. Moreover, the Nanyuan stone could be used for a long time. It was rarely seen in the market, but once it appeared, its price would be terrifyingly high. Lu Ming had never expected that there would be a Nanyuan stone in the purple jade. I wonder if this yuan storing stone can withstand my true yuan. Lu Ming pondered. There was a limit to the amount of true essence that different energy storage stones could store. It was impossible for an ordinary Nanyuan stone to store a king's vital essence. If a king's vital essence was poured in, the Nanyuan stone would probably explode. The amount of true yuan that different energy storage stones could store was different. I'll try. Holding the Na yuan stone in his hand, Lu Ming continuously transferred his essential core into the Na yuan stone. As expected, the moment the essential core entered the Na yuan stone, it was stored in the Na yuan stone. In a short while, Lu Ming's essential core was almost completely absorbed into the Nanyuan stones. It's great that he can withstand it. Lu Ming was overjoyed. In this way, the essential core that Lu Ming could use had greatly increased. The power of the prison-suppressing heaven technique was now equivalent to the middle level of a low-grade divine-level martial arts technique. The amount of vital essence it consumed was too terrifying. Lu Ming had not dared to unleash his full power previously. Otherwise, the vital essence in his body would be drained dry in an instant. However, Lu Ming was not afraid now. Even if he was drained in one go, he could replenish his essential core in an instant with the Nanyuan stones. In this case, Lu Ming had an additional trump card. Now that he was using all of his strength to unleash the prison-suppressing heaven technique, even though he could not unleash its full power, it was still much stronger than when he could only unleash a few levels of its power carefully. Next, Lu Ming took out the rough stone and started to recover his essential core. When his quintessential essence had fully recovered, Lu Ming continued to channel his quintessential essence into the Nanyuan stone. He predicted that this energy-storing stone should be able to withstand the true essence of his first-level spiritual god realm. In other words, before Lu Ming broke through to the second level of the spiritual god realm, this Nanyuan stone would be his trump card. Lu Ming only stopped after he had channeled his essential core 5 times. Quintessential essence of 5 times was equivalent to 5 times his quintessential essence, which was enough for the time being. After he had recovered his essential core, Lu Ming walked out of the inn. There was still one more day before the start of the Pill Emperor's banquet. More and more people were gathering in Pill City. Other than the people who had watched the battle between Yin Bupo and Blood Luozi, there were also some other people who had rushed over after hearing the news. Of course, most of them were from the younger generation. Because the one hosting the Pill King's banquet was Goddess Tan Xiang, it was only natural that the young people would be gathered here. It wasn't good for the older generation to mix around with these young people. Lu Ming strolled around with Dandan hoping to find something. Unfortunately, they did not find anything after a long round. Lu Ming laughed at himself. He knew that he was too greedy. He was really lucky to have gotten the Nanyuan stones the last time. He could not help but feel apologetic towards Zhou Xen. Zhou Xen was the one who bought it first and then gave it to Lu Ming. Gradually, Lu Ming strolled to the north of the Pill City. There were fewer and fewer buildings here, and instead there were many hills. I smell a fragrance. It's a strong medicinal fragrance. There are spiritual herbs. Dandan's nose suddenly twitched. Then she rushed down from Lu Ming's shoulder and ran forward at an extremely fast speed. This guy. Lu Ming was speechless. He chased after her. After crossing a hill, they came to a canyon. Dandan slowed down a little, rushed left and right, and rushed into the valley. Lu Ming furrowed his eyebrows. This valley was filled with inscription formations. Now that Lu Ming did not have mental energy fire, he could not break the array. However, even if they could not break the formation, they might not be able to stop Lu Ming. Although Lu Ming did not have a mental energy fire, he still had his knowledge of the inscription Dao. Moreover, he could also feel it as his second body's understanding of the inscription Dao increased. During this period of time, he had been cultivating at Mount Liangyi and his progress had been amazing. The second body did not have any distracting thoughts. Coupled with the blessing of providence, its comprehension had increased tenfold. As it focused on cultivation, its progress was much faster than Lu Ming's main body. Its understanding of the Tao of inscription was improving every day. Therefore, although Lu Ming did not have a mental energy fire, he still had a good eye. Although the array in the canyon was brilliant, Lu Ming could still see the flaws in it. After pondering for a moment, Lu Ming stepped forward, then backward, suddenly left, then suddenly right, and headed into the valley. Not long after, they arrived at the depths of the valley. In the depths of the valley, Lu Ming saw an herbal field. There were many kinds of spirit herbs planted in the herbal field. The herbal fragrance was extremely rich and wafted in the valley. These spiritual herbs are all level 7. Lu Ming was shocked. He realized that the spiritual herbs in the herbal field were almost all level 7 spiritual herbs, and there were at least 1,000 of them. At this time, Dandan was rolling around in the medicinal field, her eyes shining with excitement. Her claws were constantly grabbing the spirit herbs in the medicinal field and stuffing them into her mouth. Dandan, hurry up. Lu Ming urged. It was impossible for this large herbal field to be ownerless in the city of pills. It must have been planted by an expert from the Valley of the Medicine Masters. Even Lu Ming was a little apprehensive to steal other people's spiritual herbs in their territory. Like a tornado sweeping away the clouds, Dandan quickly stuffed hundreds of spiritual herbs into her mouth, all of which were upper level 7. This fellow had sharp eyes and picked the best ones. Where did this little thief come from, daring to steal medicine here? Suddenly, a delicate shout was heard and a beautiful figure rushed out of the valley. In the air, inscriptions filled the air and a great formation glowed. Rays of light entangled Dandan. Not good. Dandan was shocked. She sprinted frantically, her 4 limbs retracted into the turtle shell. The turtle shell danced in the air, dodging the formations one by one and flew toward Lu Ming. Sandalwood incense. Lu Ming was shocked to see that beautiful figure. The beautiful figure in the valley was actually the fairy Sandalwood, Mu Sandalwood. Lu Ming's body glowed and his physical body changed rapidly, turning into another appearance. He grabbed Dandan and retreated quickly. Stay here. Fairy Tanxiang's jade-like hands danced and the mental energy fire between her brows glowed. On the ground around Lu Ming, formations kept appearing. Lu Ming's eyes glimmered. He swept his gaze across the array and took a few steps forward. Each step was very mysterious. He stepped on the weak point of the array and retreated quickly. In a few breaths, Lu Ming retreated 1,000 meters. Fairy Tanxiang stopped, a look of surprise in her beautiful eyes. She did not continue to attack or pursue. Seizing the opportunity, Lu Ming flashed at top speed and soon left the canyon, disappearing from sight. Strange, it's really strange. There's clearly no trace of mental energy fire, but he can see the weakness of the array with a glance and thus avoid the attack of the array and retreat calmly. It's really strange. This is the first time I've encountered such a thing. Fairy Tanxiang whispered, her eyes filled with curiosity. This was also the reason why she didn't pursue him. Chapter 1021. 1021 Chapter 1021 Paragons attending the banquet. She could sense very clearly that Lu Ming definitely did not have any mental energy fire. This was rare in itself. Most martial artists would cultivate mental energy fire as an auxiliary martial art. However, she did not sense any mental energy fire on Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming's eyesight was extremely terrifying. He could see through the weakness of the array at once. This was something that even she could not do better than this. That was why she was even more curious. You tried to hide your appearance and change your appearance at the first moment to fool me. Unfortunately, it's not that easy to fool me. Fairy Tanxiang pursed her lips and smiled flirtatiously. Lu Ming rushed out of the canyon and heaved a long sigh of relief. With his current combat power, he was not afraid of Goddess Tanxiang, but he was in the wrong after all. This was the city of pills, the territory of the Valley of the Medicine Masters. If he was discovered by a rank 8 alchemist from the Valley of the Medicine Masters, he would not be able to bear the consequences. You rascal, I'm not going to care about you in the future. Lu Ming glanced at Dandan. Kid, what did you say? Why didn't you say that when I found a treasure like the Na Yuan pill for you? Dandan glared at Lu Ming, gritting her teeth. Lu Ming was silent and speechless. Indeed, Dandan had been of great help to Lu Ming at times. However, she was also the one who caused trouble at times. Kid, I'll recover better with the spiritual medicine. When I've fully recovered, I'll be able to dominate the world. At that time, I'll be able to kill even stronger experts with a single slap, let alone martial emperors. At that time, there will be countless people who want to curry favor with me, and it won't be your turn. Dandan said proudly. Oh, how long will it take for you to fully recover? What level of spirit medicine do you need? Lu Ming said. I don't know. As for the spirit herbs? If you want me to fully recover, mere spiritual medicine is of no use. You need stronger treasures such as saint medicine. Dandan muttered. Go to hell. Lu Ming looked at him with disdain. What was the use of saying so much? Sacred medicine. What was a sacred medicine? It was a legendary supreme treasure medicine, an unparalleled treasure. Even if an emperor saw it, they would be envious. In terms of level, it was an item that completely surpassed emperors. Above level 9 spirit herbs were saint herbs. The man and the turtle bickered as they returned to the inn. Lu Ming threw Dandan into the mountain and river diagram and continued cultivating. The next morning, Lu Ming, Chu Kuang, and Zhang Wenjin headed for the Alchemy King's department. The Pill King Institution was located on the west side of the city. It was very famous and everyone in the city knew about it. There were people from Medicine King's Valley standing guard at the entrance of the Pill King's Academy. However, after Chu Kuang revealed his identity, he naturally didn't stop the three of them from entering. The fragrance of herbs assailed the nostrils of the Alchemy King's department. Every blade of grass, every tree and every flower was a spirit herb. Many of the buildings were built like pill furnaces. They were ancient and simple, filled with the aura of time. There were butterflies and bees flying in the flowers, collecting pollen for the spiritual flowers. These colorful butterflies and bees were not ordinary insects. They were all exotic species. For example, each of those bees was a rank 5 demonic beast, equivalent to a king's realm cultivator. The honey they produced in the future would be a precious medicine worth cities. Entering the Alchemy King Academy and smelling the medicinal fragrance, it made one feel refreshed and breathing smoothly. If an ordinary person were to enter this place and live in such an environment for a few days, they would definitely not get sick and live to 100 years old. Lu Ming clicked his tongue in wonder. The Valley of the Medicine Masters was similar to the Talisman Amulet sect. They were both major sects in the Tao of Inscription. However, the Talisman Amulet sect was more inclined towards talisman scrolls and puppets, while the Valley of the Medicine Masters was more inclined towards alchemy. Their fate was very similar to that of the Talisman Amulet sect. They both once had an emperor, but now the emperor had passed away. In fact, the Talisman Amulet sect was no longer an overlord force, because it didn't have an emperor to oversee it. Lu Mingdong took a closer look and walked around the courtyard a few times. When they arrived at another courtyard, it was already full of people. They were all young people and there were no figures of the older generation. There were about 10 tables, about 80 to 90 people, and on the side, disciples of the Valley of the Medicine Masters walked around, carrying pots of wine. Some people couldn't wait to pour out the wine, and the fragrance immediately assailed the nose and spread in all directions. Good wine, it's really good wine. Chu Kuang's nose twitched and his eyes lit up. It's indeed good wine. Lu Ming was also amazed. Even before drinking it, Lu Ming could feel that this was definitely a good wine. Furthermore, there were many kinds of spiritual herbs in the wine. It was definitely not an ordinary wine. Brother Lu, this is the outer court. Third-grade geniuses and above should be in the inner court. Chu Kuang sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming. So that's how it is. Lu Ming came to a sudden realization. No wonder he did not see any famous geniuses here, let alone second-grade geniuses like Goddess Tan Xiang, Jing Kongling, and Junyu. It turned out that they were divided into the inner and outer courts. Clearly, only third-grade heaven's favorites and above could enter the inner court. Chu Kuang, Zhang Wenjin, and Lu Ming walked towards the door in front of them, attracting the attention of many people. That's Chu Kuang and Zhang Wenjin. I'm so envious. A third-class heaven's favorite or above can enter the inner court and drink and chat with peerless beauties like Goddess Tan Xiang and Jing Kongling. I heard that the fine wine in the inner court is even more precious. Who's that kid? How come I've never seen him before? If he dares to enter the inner court, he might be kicked out. In the end, many people looked at Lu Ming in surprise. This was because they felt that Lu Ming was very unfamiliar. They had never seen him before. Only Hai Ziming, Ling Yun Kong, and a few other heaven's favorites from the Floating Mountain Martial School looked normal. They knew very well that Lu Ming was definitely a third-class prodigy. Naturally, Lu Ming heard this as well. He ignored it and walked through the gate into the inner courtyard. There was a small lake in the inner courtyard, and the environment was even more elegant and unique. There was a pavilion beside the lake. In the pavilion there was a table, and around the table there were only 6 people. There were 5 of them: the Sandalwood Fairy, Jing Kongling, Junyu In Bupo, Master Blood Luo, and a young man in white. Lu Ming had not seen him before, but he was undoubtedly a second-grade heaven's favorite. Otherwise he would not have been qualified to sit in that position. Under the pavilion there were 2 tables and more than a dozen young figures were sitting there. These people were obviously third-class heaven's favorites. So it's Brother Chu and Miss Zhang. Please. Fairy Tan Xiang waved her hand and chuckled. When she turned to look at Lu Ming, a look of surprise flashed across her eyes. Then she smiled. After all, Lu Ming had a guilty conscience. His heart skipped a beat, and he quickly concealed his aura and did not look at Fairy Tan Xiang. Ah, Chu Kuang, it's been a long time since I last saw you. I wonder if your strength has improved recently. At this time, an arrogant voice was heard. Lu Ming looked in the direction of the voice. The one who spoke was a young man in a blood-red robe. He was burly and had an arrogant expression on his face. He was sitting at one of the two tables. Huang Kuei, you were lucky to win the battle of karmic luck. There's no need to keep talking about it. Chu Kuang coldly said, his face somewhat unsightly. Luck? Hehe, you really know how to put gold on your face. The young man in the blood-red robe sneered. He glanced at Zhang Wenjin and Lu Ming and finally fixed his eyes on Lu Ming. He said, Chu Kuang, why don't you come in by yourself? Who was this person? What right did he have to step into this place? Did he not know his identity? Is this a place that trash can enter? Chapter 1022. 1022 Chapter 1022 Rare Spiritual Wine. Huang Kuei sneered at Lu Ming with a look of contempt. Lu Ming frowned slightly. He did not say a word when he came in, but Huang Kuei came to him of his own accord. Huang Kuei, Brother Lu has the qualifications to enter this place. Chu Kuang said with a sullen face. Haha, qualified. Do you think I'm qualified because you said so? Then anyone can bring people in, are there still rules? Huang Kuei sneered and then looked at Goddess Tan Xiang. Fairy, I suggest that we drive this person out. However, before Huang Kuei could finish his sentence, Goddess Tan Xiang raised her hand and interrupted him. Brother Huang, you don't have to say anything. I know Brother Lu. He is qualified to enter this place. The clear voice spread throughout the entire area, causing many people's eyes to move in surprise. Fairy Tan Xiang actually knew this young man surnamed Lu? Where did this person come from? Was he also a third-grade heaven's favorite? Then why hadn't he seen it in the Battle of Providence? Many questions appeared in everyone's mind. Huang Kuei's face froze on the spot before it turned red. He was extremely embarrassed. Previously, he had berated Lu Ming loudly, saying that he was a piece of trash and that he was not qualified. However, the next moment, Fairy Tan Xiang directly said that she knew Lu Ming and that Lu Ming was qualified. This was equivalent to slapping his face in front of everyone. His heart was burning with anger and he was very dissatisfied with Fairy Tan Xiang, but he did not dare to show it. It's all Chu Kuang's fault and this brat's fault. Not daring to be displeased with Goddess Tan Xiang, Huang Kuei could only direct his anger towards Lu Ming and Chu Kuang. He picked up his wine glass and took a sip, his eyes cold. Chu Kuang and Zhang Wenjin were also stunned. Fairy Tan Xiang knew Lu Ming? Could it be that Lu Ming and Fairy Tan Xiang were old acquaintances? Everyone had their own thoughts. Even Lu Ming's expression changed slightly. Don't tell me he recognized me. Lu Ming could not help but think. Brother Lu, please take a seat. Tan Xiang waved her hand and smiled sweetly as she pointed to their table. This time the scene was in an uproar and everyone's face changed. What? Fairy Tan Xiang asked this Lu guy to sit at the table above. That table is reserved for second-grade heaven's favorites. Does this Lu guy have the right to sit there? How is that possible? How many second-grade heaven's favorites are there? I didn't even see him in the Battle of Providence, so how could he be a second-grade prodigy? Then why did Fairy Tan Xiang ask him to take the seat of honor? Many third-class heaven's favorites were discussing in low voices. However, everyone had a suspicious look in their eyes. Even Jing Kongling, Yin Bupo, Junyue, and the others' expressions changed slightly as they sized Lu Ming up curiously. Chu Kuang and Zhang Wenjin's expressions were even more interesting. Lu Ming himself was also a little stunned. Brother Lu, please? Fairy Tan Xiang invited again. All right. Lu Shaoqing thanks the fairy. Lu Ming cupped his fists and stepped forward without hesitation. This kid really went up. He really dares to go up? Does he really think he can stand shoulder to shoulder with a second-grade heaven's pride? Lu Ming's actions caused a wave of soft discussions. This kid. Huang Kuei's expression turned even uglier. Lu Ming did not care about the gazes from the surrounding people. He stepped forward. He was now certain that Sandalwood had recognized him. Since she had recognized him, he could only face it. At most, he would just compensate her with those spirit herbs. Brat, get down. This is not a place you can come up. Just as Lu Ming walked up to the pavilion, a cold voice rang in his ears. It was transmitted and no one else could hear it. Lu Ming raised his eyebrows and looked at a person. Blood Luozi. The words just now were clearly said by Blood Luozi. At this moment, Blood Luozi stared at Lu Ming with an unfriendly gaze. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. He did not look at Blood Luozi anymore. He continued to walk to the table in the pavilion and sat down on an empty chair. He completely ignored Shui Luozi, which made Shui Luozi's expression turn ugly. A wisp of killing intent flashed in his eyes. Chapter 1023. 1023 Challenging Lu Ming. The wine brewed by Fairy Tanxiang is really rare. I'm really lucky today. Ah, that's right. If other people knew about this, they would be so envious. The young men began to flatter her, hoping to gain her attention. Since everyone is so excited and it's rare for us to gather together after the Battle of Providence, why don't we use martial arts to liven things up? Huang Kuei raised his wine cup and strode out, his voice echoing throughout the entire area. Everyone's hearts moved. The show was about to begin. With so many heaven's favorites here, drinking was just one of the reasons. Sparring was also a must. Obviously, Huang Kuei was the first to suggest this. Using martial arts to liven things up, naturally. With a wave of her hands, inscriptions glowed on the ground. In an empty space not far away, light flickered and a fighting ring appeared. This battle platform was originally built by our sect's seniors for sparring. It's sturdy and immortal. Everyone, please feel free to display your skills. Fairy Tanxiang introduced. All right, thank you, Fairy Tanxiang. Huang Kuei laughed as he stepped forward and landed on the fighting stage. His eyes swept around, finally landing on Chu Kuang as he said, Chu Kuang, you lost to me in the Battle of Providence. Half a year has passed. I wonder how much progress you've made. Do you dare to fight me? Why wouldn't I? Chu Kuang drank a cup of wine in one gulp. His body moved and he landed on the fighting stage. Miss Zhang, what are Brother Chu's chances of winning? Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Zhang Wenjin. Zhang Wenjin's expression was grave. She also sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming. It's hard to say. Huang Kuei is the second most powerful genius in Cold Blood Hall. Brother Chu was defeated by him in the Battle of Providence. Although Brother Chu has improved in the past 6 months, Huang Kuei will not stagnate. It turns out that Huang Kuei is also from Cold Blood Hall. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. No wonder Blood Luozi had shouted at him coldly and told him to get lost. Boom. At this moment, the two of them had already started fighting in the fighting ring. The two powerful auras collided with each other, creating a violent boom. Chu Kuang and Huang Kuei's cultivation was at the early stage of the 9th level spirit embryo realm. It was clear that they had just broken through 10,000 miles of ice. Chu Kuang's blade flashed, and the terrifying cold chi seemed to be able to freeze the entire alchemy division. Humph, it's this move again, Blood Flame Claw. Huang Kuei's blood chi was boiling as he clawed out claw rays. These claw rays reeked of blood, and within them there was a burning heat. The blood-red flame and the ice continued to collide with each other, causing a sizzling sound to be heard on the fighting ring. The ice was melted by the fire and a mist filled the air. Yin Bupo waved his hand and the cold wind whistled, blowing away the mist. At this moment, the paragons of the outer court had also heard the commotion. They all rose into the air and looked over. Chu Kuang has made a move, and his opponent is Huang Kuei. Ai Ziming said. In the Battle of Providence, Chu Kuang lost to senior brother Huang Kuei. This time, Chu Kuang will definitely lose. A Cold Blood Hall genius sneered. Times have changed, I don't think so. Ai Ziming replied coldly. Oh really? Just watch. The Cold Blood Hall disciple sneered. Cold Blood Hall was next to the floating mountain, and their relationship was not good. In the land of Central Continent, the various emperors stood side by side. The various overlords and forces were divided and fought for hegemony with each other. They were not harmonious and had conflicts with each other. For example, the Sky Eagle Castle and Cold Blood Hall were mortal enemies. At the same time, the relationship between Cold Blood Hall and Floating Mountain was not good. As the crowd discussed, the battle on the fighting ring became even more intense. The two of them had already exchanged more than 100 moves. The bloodthirsty swirled. Huang Kuei displayed a terrifying technique of the Cold Blood Hall. A blood-red light curtain burst out in all directions. Chu Kuang's expression changed drastically, and he quickly retreated as if he was very afraid. But even though he retreated, he was still affected. The blood in his body was boiling as if it was about to leave his body. Blood Flame Emperor Hand. Huang Kuei once again changed his technique, and his attacks became even more violent. Chu Kuang had no choice but to use his bloodline fusion. But immediately after, Huang Kuei also used bloodline fusion. It turned out to be a blood-red claw. It seemed to be the claw of some kind of living creature, and its power was terrifying. The two bloodlines clashed in the air, and a few dozen more moves quickly passed. However, it was obvious that Huang Kuei was stronger, and he slowly gained the upper hand. In the end, Chu Kuang's bloodline was torn apart by the blood claw, and he transformed back into his human form. Blood spurted out of his mouth, and his expression was extremely unsightly. Huang Kuei also transformed into his human form and laughed. Chu Kuang, I think you're becoming more and more useless. You're losing even faster than the last time. You'll never be my opponent. Ah. Huang Kuei laughed arrogantly, his voice filled with contempt. Chu Kuang's face was gloomy, but he didn't say anything. Since he had lost, saying that everything was in vain would only make him lose even more face. Haha, I told you Chu Kuang will definitely lose. Your floating mountain sect, other than the Jing Kong Ling, there's no one else you can take out. In the air above the outer yard, Cold Blood Hall's sovereigns sneered, while Hai Ziming and the others had ugly expressions. However, Cold Blood Hall's sovereign was right. The floating mountain sect was indeed slightly weaker than Cold Blood Hall. Even among the overlord forces there were strong and weak forces. The floating mountain was considered weak among the overlord forces, while Cold Blood Hall was obviously stronger. Chu Kuang walked down from the fighting ring with an unsightly expression. He came to Wenjin Zhang's side and sighed. Losing to Huang Kuei for the second time was a huge blow to Chu Kuang. Big brother Chu, it's normal to win or lose. Winning once doesn't mean that you'll always win. I believe that big brother Chu will be able to defeat Huang Kuei in the future. Zhang Wenjin comforted her. Wenjin, I'm fine. Chu Kuang smiled and quickly adjusted his state of mind. Huang Kuei was still standing on the fighting ring, feeling smug and proud. He had an invincible look on his face. Finally, his gaze landed on Lu Ming and a cold glint flashed across his eyes. Lu Shaoqing, do you dare to come up and fight me? Huang Kuei shouted. He had his eyes on Lu Ming. Lu Ming had actually been invited by Fairy Tan Xiang to sit with her and the rest. This made him extremely jealous. What was Lu Ming? How could he sit with Fairy Tan Xiang and the others? How strong could a person who did not participate in the Battle of Providence be? Huang Kuei was certain that Lu Ming was not strong. Perhaps he was just lucky to have met Goddess Tan Xiang. Moreover, Lu Ming had come with Chu Kuang. He wanted to suppress Lu Ming in public and humiliate him. He wanted to prove that he was stronger than Lu Ming. This would also be a blow to Chu Kuang. You want to challenge me? Lu Ming cast a sidelong glance at Huang Kuei and spoke indifferently. That's right. Do you dare to fight? If you don't, then quickly admit defeat and get out of here. Huang Kuei laughed in disdain. Okay, I agree. However, I won't take advantage of you. You've been exhausted in the battle just now. Let's fight again after you've recovered. Lu Ming said. There's no need for that. It's just dealing with Chu Kuang. It won't cost me much. And even if it does, I'm confident that it'll be more than enough to deal with you. Huang Kuei had a confident expression. Oh really? Then do as you wish. Lu Ming stood up and took a step forward, appearing on the fighting ring. Everyone's eyes were on Lu Ming. Many people's eyes were filled with anticipation. Lu Ming had actually been invited by Fairy Tan Xiang to sit at the same table as them. Everyone was very curious. What kind of abilities did Lu Ming have? Chapter 1024. 1024 Chapter 1024 Beating a Dead Dog. Even Junyue, Jing Kongling, Kong Xian and the others were looking forward to it. Even Fairy Tan Xiang herself was looking forward to it. She invited Lu Ming to take a seat because she recognized him as the person who had stolen the medicine previously. He did not have any mental energy fire, but he could move freely in the array. She was very curious about this, so she invited Lu Ming to take a seat. She also wanted to see how strong Lu Ming's real abilities were. That is, Lu Shaoqing? In the outer courtyard, Hai Ziming, Ling Yun Kong, and the rest were shocked as they recognized Lu Ming. It's that kid, the one who went in with Chu Kuang. Haha, a nobody actually dares to fight with senior brother Huang. I bet he'll be completely crushed by senior brother Huang within 10 moves. 10 moves, I don't think we should even take 5. A few cold-blood Hall talents sneered. Don't be too sure. Hai Ziming replied coldly. He had fought with Lu Ming before. He felt that Lu Ming did not use his full strength when he fought with him. He might be able to fight Huang Kuei. It's not that you're too full of yourself, but that there's no suspense. Cold-blood Hall's paragon looked confident. On the fighting ring, Lu Ming and Huang Kuei stood opposite each other. Make your move. Lu Ming said indifferently with a carefree look. Humph, what are you pretending for? I'm going to make you reveal your true form. Huang Kuei laughed coldly. His body flashed and a blood-red light burst forth. A blood-red claw ray grabbed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not even look at it. He struck with his palm. On his palm, a 5-colored radiance flashed. Bang! The palm and the blood claw collided, producing a cracking sound and a muffled groan. Huang Kuei's figure quickly retreated to the other side of the fighting ring with an extremely ugly expression. One of his hands trembled slightly, and one of his fingers was deformed. The entire place fell silent. Lu Ming had actually forced Huang Kuei back with one palm and even broke one of his fingers. How could his combat strength be so terrifying? So you have some ability. I was just careless just now. Next, I will suppress you. Huang Kuei's voice rang out. His deformed fingers began to twist and return to normal. Buzz! Buzz! His figure flashed and he pounced toward Lu Ming. Blood Flame Emperor Claw. Huang Kuei clawed out hundreds of times in a row. Endless blood-colored claw radiance was aimed at Lu Ming. Each claw was terrifyingly sharp and emitted a scorching aura. They had the terrifying power of burning and corroding. The Bloodthirsty Swirl. At the same time, Huang Kuei unleashed his Bloodthirsty Swirl and cast many ultimate techniques at the same time. He wanted to use this move to defeat Lu Ming in one fell swoop and humiliate him to avenge his broken finger. Is this the bloodthirsty technique of Cold Blood Hall? It's far from the devouring power of the 9 dragons. Lu Ming felt the blood in his body trembling slightly and he thought to himself. The bloodthirst art could indeed affect other people's blood and weaken the other party's combat strength. However, it had no effect on Lu Ming. The devouring power was activated and the blood calmed down. Bang! Lu Ming took a step forward and struck with his palm again. The power of this palm was more than 10 times stronger than the palm just now. The space twisted and exploded. The bloodthirsty force's world collapsed like tofu. The claw radiance that filled the sky disappeared without a trace under Lu Ming's palm. Kacha! Accompanied by the sound of bones breaking and a shrill scream, a figure retreated rapidly. Huang Kuei, it's Huang Kuei again. At this moment, one of his palms was completely deformed. The bones in his fingers and palm were all broken into hundreds of pieces by the terrifying force. CSI. Gasps could be heard from all around. Everyone looked at Lu Ming in shock. Lu Ming had actually beaten Huang Kuei to such a state so easily. He had completely crushed Huang Kuei. Lu Ming actually had such combat ability? This was too terrifying. Brother Lu's cultivation has broken through. Chu Kuang muttered. He felt that Lu Ming's cultivation had broken through. Previously he was at the 8th level of the spirit embryo realm, and now he was at the 9th level. When Lu Ming was still at the 8th level of the spirit embryo realm, he could already faintly suppress him. Now that his cultivation had broken through, he was indeed more powerful. Huang Kuei was also in disbelief. Lu Ming's power was far beyond his imagination. Lu Shaoqing, let's call it a day. You have the upper hand. However, I've been exhausted from the battle with Chu Kuang. We'll fight another day. Huang Kuei cried out. He was clearly afraid. You want to fight and not fight? Did you ask me? Lu Ming sneered. He took a step forward and appeared in front of Huang Kuei in an instant. This Huang Kuei was truly laughable. Before the battle, he claimed that he had not expended much energy and that he was more than enough to deal with Lu Ming. Now that the situation was not right, he wanted to give up the battle. He even used the excuse that he had expended some energy during the battle with Chu Kuang. It was simply laughable. Lu Ming could not be bothered to talk nonsense with him. He struck out with his palm. You. Huang Kuei was frightened and used all his strength to block, but in the next moment he was sent flying. The bone armor of the other claw was also broken. The next moment he activated his bloodline and turned into a blood-red claw. However, Lu Ming took a step forward and appeared in front of the blood-red claw, striking it with his palm. The palm suppressed everything and collided with the blood-red claw with a violent boom. Then the blood-red claw crumbled and turned back into Huang Kuei. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming used the 9 dragons' heaven-treading steps and stomped toward Huang Kuei. Stop! In the pavilion, Shui Luozi stood up and shouted, his blood chi soaring into the sky. However, Lu Ming only glanced at him casually and ignored him. He stomped on Huang Kuei's body a few times in succession. Huang Kuei screamed in pain and fell heavily on the fighting ring. The fighting ring rumbled and the sound of bones breaking came from Huang Kuei's body. Then he lay on the fighting ring like a dead fish, spitting out blood and convulsing. Crushing, a complete crushing. The surroundings were silent. Not a single sound could be heard. In the sky above the outer court, the paragons who saw this scene were all dumbfounded. The third-class prodigy Huang Kuei was stronger than Chu Kuang in terms of combat strength. However, he was like a piece of trash in the face of Lu Ming. He was easily crushed and beaten into a dead dog. What kind of combat strength was this? Could it be that Lu Ming was a second-grade heaven's favorite? Hai Ziming, Ling Yunkong, and the others sucked in a breath of cold air, feeling a lingering fear. They finally knew that Lu Ming did not use his true abilities when he fought with them back then. Otherwise they would not have survived. The Cold Blood Hall elites were even more dumbfounded. Previously they had said that Huang Kuei would be able to crush Lu Ming in 10 or even 5 moves. However, the truth was the complete opposite. Lu Ming had beaten Huang Kuei to a pulp in less than 5 moves. Senior brother Huang Kuei, it's probably because of the battle with Chu Kuang that he's exhausted. A Cold Blood Hall elite finally spoke after a long while, but he was despised by everyone. The battle between Lu Ming and Huang Kuei was not as simple as a loss of essential core. It was a complete suppression in terms of combat strength. Even if Huang Kuei was at his peak, the result would be the same. Even a blind man could see it. They were not the only ones. The geniuses of the inner court were also dumbfounded. The third-grade heaven's favorites were shocked. Lu Ming's strength was way above theirs. Chapter 1025. 1025 Chapter 1025 Great Battle with Blood Luo. As for Jing Kongling, Junyu, Kong Xian Bupo and the others, they all looked solemn. The combat strength that Lu Ming had displayed was already close to their level. It's indeed powerful. Fairy Tanxiang's eyes revealed a strange light. Kid, I told you to stop just now, didn't you hear me? Shui Luozi's face was gloomy. He stared at Lu Ming and said coldly. Lu Ming glanced at Blood Luozi indifferently and said, "This is my battle with Huang Kuei and you're telling me to stop? Who do you think you are?" Lu Ming's voice was heard, causing the entire place to suddenly fall silent. Not only the inner court but the outer court as well. Many people widened their eyes in shock. Who do you think you are? Lu Ming actually dared to speak to Blood Luozi in this manner. Did he not want to live? Chu Kuang, Zhang Wenjin, Hai Ziming and the others all gasped. This is terrible. Chu Kuang and Zhang Wenjin's expressions changed drastically, and they looked worried. Although Lu Ming was strong, he should not be Shui Luo's match. After all, Shui Luo was a second-grade heaven's favorite. There was a huge difference in combat strength between a second-grade and third-grade heaven's favorite. Just like the Emperor God, if he used his full power he could kill Blood Sword in a few moves. As expected, Blood Luozi's body emitted a cold murderous intent. He stared at Lu Ming coldly and laughed out of anger. Haha brat, you actually dare to speak to me like this? Do you really think that you're invincible just because you have some battle power? I'll let you know what I am now. And what are you? You will pay a heavy price for what you said. Then in a flash Shui Luozi appeared on the fighting ring. His terrifying killing intent filled the whole place, causing many people to shiver. Everyone was shocked. Blood Luozi was going to attack Lu Ming. He had the intention to kill Lu Ming. In the pavilion, Jing Kongling frowned and said, Shui Luozi, you've gone too far. If you want to fight, I'll accompany you. After all, Lu Ming had come with Chu Kuang and Zhang Wenjin. As the #1 genius of the Floating Mountain sect, Jing Kongling could not just watch Master Blood Luo kill Lu Ming. Jing Kongling, are you trying to meddle in my business? Shui Luozi said coldly. So what? The pure and ethereal spirit stood up, his body covered in mist, making him look even more ethereal. Miss Jing, there's no need for you to take action. I'm enough to deal with a blood bat. Lu Ming's voice was heard again, leaving the others speechless. Lu Ming said that he would deal with the Blood Luozi alone with a confident expression. Where did he get his confidence from? Hee Sister Kongling, I think you don't need to interfere. Maybe there will be a surprise? Fairy Tan Xiang smiled. She was even more curious about Lu Ming now. Jing Kongling's gaze turned and he actually sat down as well, not saying anything more. Lu Shaoqing, right? It's good to be confident, but you'll soon realize that your confidence is sometimes very stupid. Seeing Jing Kongling sit down, the killing intent in Xue Luozi's eyes became even colder. Is that so? Lu Ming smiled faintly and kicked Huang Kuei, who was still twitching, out of the fighting ring. This action made Blood Luozi's face darken again. He dared to do this in front of him. This was a slap to his face. Boom. A powerful aura burst out from Xue Luozi's body, and a layer of blood-red flames danced wildly. This kind of blood-colored flame was extremely terrifying. Compared to the Wang family's purple extreme heavenly fire, its power was even more shocking and even more bizarre. Lu Ming's face darkened slightly as the essential core in his body circulated crazily. He didn't dare to be careless in front of Xue Luozi. After all, Xue Luozi was a heaven's favorite on the same level as an emperor god. Blood Sky Blade. The endless blood-red flames condensed into a saber. Blood Luozi held the saber with both hands and stomped his feet. He rushed toward Lu Ming madly and slashed down. The terrifying power pressed down on Lu Ming. The power of this strike alone had already surpassed Huang Kuei's. The five-colored intent realm covered his entire body as he activated the prison-suppressing heaven technique. Lu Ming strode forward and struck out with his palm. Boom. The saber ray in the palm collided with a terrifying boom. Lu Ming's body swayed and he took a few steps back. Lu Shaoqing has retreated. He's not his match. I knew it. He can't be eldest senior brother's match. As soon as Lu Ming retreated, the Cold Blood Hall elites began to mock him. It's just the beginning, what's the rush? Hai Ziming replied coldly. Buzz. At this moment, Blood Luozi slashed at Lu Ming again. His battle prowess is indeed powerful. Then I'll increase the power of the prison-suppressing heaven technique. Lu Ming had an idea and he struck out with his palm again. This time Lu Ming did not retreat. He stabilized himself. Blood Sky Blade, 9 heavenly blades. Xue Luozi shouted as he slashed out his scarlet heaven blade. Each slash was stronger than the last and it seemed like it could destroy everything. A dragon's roar rang out as Lu Ming burst out with 2 streams of dragon energy. His strength increased greatly as he struck out with his palms continuously. Boom, boom, boom. The fighting ring kept shaking and the terrible force shot in all directions. In the blink of an eye, dozens of moves had passed. The scene was silent. Everyone's eyes were wide open as they stared at the 2 people fighting on the fighting ring. How can he be so strong? The Cold Blood Hall disciples were shocked. Previously they thought that Blood Luozi could easily suppress Lu Ming. But now they realized that they were wrong. Lu Ming could actually fight with Blood Luozi to this extent. Jing Kongling, Junyu, and the other second-grade heavens favorites all had serious expressions. Lu Ming was already qualified to be ranked as a second-grade heavens favorite since he could fight Blood Luozi to this extent. Moreover, they could tell that Lu Ming's cultivation was at the early stage of the 9th level spirit embryo realm, while Blood Luozi's cultivation was at the peak of the 9th level spirit embryo realm. It was shocking that Xue Luozi didn't have the upper hand when his cultivation was stronger. The more he fought, the more shocked Xue Luozi became. Lu Ming's combat strength was beyond his expectations. The Bloodthirsty World. Xue Luozi cast the Bloodthirsty technique. A circle of light curtain spread out and enveloped Lu Ming. Lu Ming's blood was almost boiling. Blood Luozi was much more powerful than Huang Kuei when he used the same move. Comparing devouring power is like showing off your skills in front of an expert. Devour. Lu Ming's left palm exploded with a terrifying devouring power, which enveloped Blood Luozi's entire body. At this moment, Xue Luozi's eyes widened in disbelief. The bloodthirsty intent. No, this power is even more terrifying than the bloodthirsty intent. It's 10 times more terrifying. My essence blood, fresh blood, Zhenyuan, and even my intent realm are shaking. What kind of secret technique is this? Xue Luozi's mind was racing. Xue Luozi was stunned. Lu Ming would not let go of this opportunity. He arrived in an instant and slashed at Xue Luozi with his palm like a heavenly blade. Not good. Xue Luozi hurriedly slashed his saber, clashing with Lu Ming's. The saber light that was shattered by Lu Ming's palm hit Xue Luozi with a terrifying force. He spat out a mouthful of blood and retreated quickly. Bloodline fusion. While he was retreating, he performed bloodline fusion to unleash his strongest combat power. 4 dragon energies, he exclaimed. Seeing this, Lu Ming also released 4 bursts of dragon power. His skin glowed with purple light, and his power increased greatly. He charged at Shui Luo Zi. Chapter 1026. 1026 Chapter 1026 Defeating Blood Luo. Squeak. Shui Luozi transformed into a blood-winged sky bat and shrieked. A terrifying invisible sound wave spread toward Lu Ming. Enveloped by the sound waves, Lu Ming felt his eardrums ringing and his heart beating faster. This was the blood-winged sky bat's innate secret skill. It was extremely terrifying. Those with low cultivation would have their hearts shattered by this sound wave. Circulating the true war dragon technique, Lu Ming's vital energy was like a dragon, guarding his body and blocking the external sound waves. He soared into the sky and charged towards the blood-winged sky bat. The blood-winged sky bat screeched and pounced at Lu Ming, starting a new battle. Energy shot out in all directions, but the two were still tied, and it was difficult to determine the winner. A second-rate chosen. Lu Shaoqing is a second-rate chosen. Ling Yunkong mumbled to himself in the sky above the outer courtyard. His face was pale and he was filled with lingering fear. Without a doubt, Lu Ming was a second-grade heaven's favorite. His combat strength was terrifyingly powerful. The thought of going against Lu Ming in the past made Ling Yunkong's back wet with cold sweat. He was filled with lingering fear. It was obvious that Lu Ming had been wary of the Shao family and did not use his full strength. Otherwise, he would have ended up in a miserable state. Back then, he was forced by Lu Ming to take a blood oath to never deal with the Shao family again. He still harbored a grudge and wanted to find an opportunity to take revenge. But now, it was as if a bucket of cold water had been poured on him, extinguishing all his thoughts. Seek revenge on Lu Ming? What a joke. Was he courting death? If Lu Ming were to unleash his full power, he could kill him with one finger. He secretly decided that he would find an opportunity to apologize to Lu Ming in the future and admit his mistakes. At the same time, he would comfort the Shao family 10 times more and build a good relationship with them. Hai Ziming, Wu Kong, and the others who had dealt with Lu Ming before also smiled bitterly to them slaviers. They knew that Lu Ming had been merciful earlier. The other talents of Cold Blood Hall were all pale and silent. The inner court was in a similar state. The third-grade geniuses were also silent. However, they knew that another second-grade genius had appeared. Brother Lu. Chu Kuang bitterly smiled and shook his head. Previously he had thought that Lu Ming might be stronger than him. However, he did not expect Lu Ming to be so much stronger than him. Like I said, this guy might bring me a surprise. In the pavilion, Goddess Tan Xiang smiled. It's indeed a surprise. I didn't expect that such a person would appear after the Battle of Providence. The pure spirit nodded. Junyu In Bupo and the others looked even more solemn. They knew that from now on, they would have one more powerful opponent on their way forward. In the sky, Lu Ming and Blood Luo Zi had already exchanged hundreds of moves, but neither of them had a clear winner. Blood Luo Zi was indeed very strong. He was definitely on the same level as a divine emperor. However, Lu Ming was different from the Battle of Providence, where he had comprehended one more intent realm and his combat strength had increased greatly. Now, Lu Ming could tie with Blood Luo Zi without using Blood Meridian Fusion. If he used Blood Meridian Fusion, he would have no problem overpowering Blood Luo Zi. However, even without using the Blood Fusion, Lu Ming could still suppress the Blood Luo Zi because he had the Nanyuan Stone. It's time to end this. Defeat. Lu Ming let out a long howl. The vital essence in his body circulated wildly as he unleashed the prison-suppressing heaven technique with all his might. Boom. With a palm strike, the true essence in his body was completely absorbed. Use the divine level martial technique with all your might. Shui Luo Zi roared and gritted his teeth. He flapped his wings like 2 heavenly blades. Without a doubt, Shui Luo Zi had also comprehended a low-grade divine level bloodline martial art technique from his bloodline. However, like Lu Ming, he could not fully perform it because he did not have enough vital essence. Seeing that Lu Ming had used his full strength, he could only use his full strength to resist. Boom. The 2 terrifying attacks collided with each other, creating an earth-shattering boom. The space twisted rapidly. In the end, a pitch-black hole appeared, revealing a pitch-black space. The two of them exploded with all their strength and attacked each other. They actually pierced through the space. Being able to pierce through space was something that could only be done by someone in the spiritual god realm. This meant that the two of them had unleashed their strongest attacks. The power that collided with each other had already reached the spiritual god realm. This was an extremely shocking matter. There was a huge explosion and the two figures retreated rapidly. However, Lu Ming retreated a few dozen meters before he stopped and stood in the void. The true essence in his body wasn't exhausted, but was in a state of absolute fullness. Just now he had absorbed the true essence from the energy-storing stone. Shueluozi couldn't maintain his blood-winged sky bat form. He turned into his human form and retreated 100 meters before he managed to stop in the air, gasping for breath. "Don't tell me it'll end in a draw," the pristine void spirit muttered. They could see that they had both used their full strength in the last attack. It was obvious that their true essence had been used up. The two of them were probably too weak to fight. "Lu Shaoqing, I admit that you have some skills. Today is a draw. If we fight again another day, I will defeat you," Blood Luozi said. "A draw? Who said it was a draw?" Lu Ming sneered. "You don't want a draw? Our true qi is already exhausted, there's no point in continuing this fight." Blood Luozi said. "Who said my true essence is exhausted?" Lu Ming's lips curled into a mocking smile. The vital essence in his body circulated rapidly and a powerful aura exploded. Bang! Bang! At that moment, Jing Kongling, Junyu, Kong Xian, and the rest could no longer remain calm. They stood up from their chairs and looked at Lu Ming in shock. Lu Ming actually still had essential core. He actually still had the strength to fight. How was that possible? Impossible. Shueluozi's eyes were filled with disbelief. Lu Ming had used all his strength and performed a divine-level martial arts technique. It was impossible for him to have any more strength to fight. What was going on? "Storage elemental stones, you have storage elemental stones." Shueluozi's pupils shrank and he shouted. Only by receiving elemental stones could one instantly replenish their true elemental energy. Otherwise, even the best pills would require some time to recover one's Jinyuan. The others came to a realization as well. They did not expect Lu Ming to have such a treasure. Lu Ming did not deny it. He stepped forward and approached Shueluozi. He sneered, "Our battle is not over yet." Boom. Lu Ming took a step forward and dashed toward Blood Luozi like a stream of light. "Damn it!" Shueluozi roared and used his remaining strength to retreat. However, he had exhausted all his vital essence. How could he avoid Lu Ming's attack? The terrifying palm force landed on Blood Luozi's body. Blood Luozi screamed in pain as countless bones in his body were broken. His body fell to the ground of the alchemy division. Boom. Blood Luozi smashed a big hole in the ground and smoke and dust filled the air. "I'll kill you." Lu Ming rushed in that direction, his eyes filled with killing intent. The crowd was shocked. Lu Ming wanted to kill the blood-covered prince. How audacious. If he really killed the blood-covered prince, the senior management of the Cold Blood Hall would go crazy. "Stop." With a furious roar, a blood-red light slashed down from the sky and headed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming retreated quickly and dodged the blood light. Then, an elder in a blood-red robe stepped on the air and descended. Chapter 1027. 1027 The Five Young Tycoons. The blood-robed elder's aura was extremely shocking. He was actually a spiritual God Realm master. There were actually spiritual God Realm experts from Cold Blood Hall nearby. Lu Ming frowned. It seemed that the most powerful geniuses of the major forces had guards around them and experts following them in secret. For example, Jing Kongling, Yin Bupo, and the others might have experts following them secretly. This kind of person was called a guardian. To protect the growth of these geniuses. It was because a heaven's favorite like Blood Luo Master was too rare. It was impossible for such a heaven's favorite to appear in every generation. There would only be one in many generations. If he died in battle, it would be a great loss. "Young man, don't push your luck. Stop what you're doing." The blood-robed elder cast a cold glance at Lu Ming, sending chills down his spine. This blood-robed elder was definitely terrifying. He was not someone an ordinary spiritual God Realm master could compare to. Lu Ming frowned and did not say anything. The blood-robed elder reached out his hand and grabbed the unconscious Shueluozi. His body flashed and he turned into a blood light and left. His only mission was to ensure the safety of the Blood Luo seed. He would not attack Lu Ming. Lu Ming was so powerful. Who knew what kind of forces were behind him? Whether there were experts following him or not, he did not want to get into trouble. Oh! Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief. These geniuses of the major forces were indeed not that simple. They had such powerful people following them. The elder in the blood-red robe gave him immense pressure. If he attacked, Lu Ming had no confidence that he could escape. Lu Ming returned to the inner courtyard after Shui Luozi was taken away. Brother Lu, you're truly an unparalleled prodigy. I'm impressed. As soon as Lu Ming returned, Fairy Tan Xiang raised her glass to him with a sweet smile. You're too kind, Fairy Tan Xiang. I only took advantage of the Nanyuan stones, Lu Ming said. Since the others had already guessed it, he had nothing to hide. Junyue Yin Bupo and the others looked at Lu Ming with grave expressions. Lu Ming's combat strength was already extremely powerful. He also had the Nanyuan stones. If they were to fight him, they would not be his match. However, they were not too worried. As long as they broke through to the spiritual god realm, their essential core would be incomparably rich and they would be able to use divine-level martial arts techniques at will. By then they would not be afraid even if Lu Ming had the Nanyuan stones. Brother Lu's strength is admirable. Come, let me toast to Brother Lu. Kong Xn, who was dressed in white, raised her wine cup and smiled. Brother Kong, please. Lu Ming greeted him with a smile. Then Jing Kongling Junyue and Yin Bupo toasted Lu Ming one by one. Strength was everything. It was only when they saw Lu Ming's strength that they truly regarded him as someone on the same level as them. Previously, although Fairy Tan Xiang had invited Lu Ming to sit with them, they had looked down on him and did not take him seriously. They were all Heaven's Pride experts that were rarely seen in the world. They were all prideful in their hearts. If one was not on the same level as them, they would not put you in their eyes at all. Even if they were friendly on the surface, they still looked down on you in their bones. But now Lu Ming had won their attention. Strength spoke for itself. It's really a great era now, and there are as many Heaven's favorites as there are clouds. I thought that after the Battle of Providence, all the Heaven's favorites would have appeared. I didn't expect that even after the Battle of Providence, someone like Brother Lu would appear. It seems that I've been too complacent. I should keep working hard or I won't be surpassed by you all. Kong Xn was a forthright person. She drank a cup of wine and sighed. You're right, Brother Kong. In the current era, one has to make progress or fall behind. During the Battle of Providence, Long Qin entered the spiritual god realm. He was unparalleled in the world, but I heard that Xian Yinjuan has also entered the spiritual god realm not long ago. Demon Mountain Junyue also sighed. What? Xian Yinjuan has also entered the spiritual god realm? Fairy Tan Xiang, Jing Kongling and the others were all shocked. This matter is absolutely true. I've also heard the elders mention it. Not only that, Yang Padian has also broken through to the spiritual god realm. Kong Xian said with a serious look. Jing Kongling and the others gasped in shock. Lu Ming was extremely shocked. The people Kong Xian and the others were talking about were from the 5 giants of Central Continent. Among them, Long Qin was known as the #1 and the only person in the world. He was extremely powerful and had already broken through to the spiritual god realm during the Battle of Providence. Without a doubt, he was the #1 person among the younger generation in the Central Continent. Xian Yinjuan and Yang Padian were also 2 of the 5 giants of the Central Continent. Now, they had all broken through to the spiritual god realm. These big shots were not even 30 years old, but they had already reached this step. It was truly terrifying. Especially Xian Yinjuan. Back in the East Continent, when Lu Ming was still very weak, he had met Xian Yinjuan once. She was Xian Yinqing's sister. Lu Ming was shocked when he first heard Xian Yinjuan's name. Now he was even more shocked. He didn't expect Xian Yinjuan to have already broken through to the spirit god realm. Xian Yinjuan was the #1 genius of the Xie clan of the ancient Saint dynasty. Not only was she one of the 5 giants of Central Continent, but she was also one of the 5 beauties. Such a person was truly rare. Lu Ming had always suspected that Xian Yinjuan had hidden his cultivation level when he first met him. Xian Yinjuan Yang Padian has broken through to the spirit god realm. I wonder how the other 2 are doing? King Xiang sighed. The other 2 she was referring to were the other 2 of the 5 magnates, who were unparalleled heroes of the monster race. I don't know. I didn't receive any news, but I guess the other 2 are definitely not weak. Kong Xian said. Everyone's faces were solemn. The 5 young tycoons had entered the spiritual god realm one after another. They understood that the younger generation of the central continent was about to step into the era of spiritual god hegemony. The figures of the younger generation had begun to catch up and even surpass the older generation, reaching the peak of the continent. They were under immense pressure. In the eyes of the other geniuses and Heaven's Pride experts, they were all high and mighty, targets that they had to chase up to. However, from their perspective, they were looking at Heaven's Pride experts of the same level or even higher, such as the top 5 young warriors. Only by competing with stronger people would one feel the pressure and motivation. Only then would one be able to constantly surpass oneself and achieve breakthroughs. As the group drank, they chatted. Sometimes they talked about martial arts, other times they talked about some secrets. Lu Ming learned a lot of things that he had not heard of from them. After 3 rounds of wine, everyone got up and left. Thank you, Goddess Tan Xiang, for taking out so much wine. I'll take my leave now and return to the Tianxia Academy to focus on my closed-door cultivation. Otherwise I'll really fall behind. Kong Xeng cupped his fists at Fairy Tan Xiang. Brother Kong is too polite. Fairy Tan Xiang smiled. Brother Lu, we hit it off at first sight today. If there's a chance in the future, you can come to Tianxia Academy to find me. Kong Xeng then looked at Lu Ming. Definitely. Lu Ming said with a smile. Kong Xien nodded and stepped into the air to leave. After that, Yin Bupo and Jing Kongling also left. Fairy Tan Xiang, I'll also take my leave. Lu Ming cupped his fists and turned to leave. Brother Lu, please wait a moment. How about you stay for a drink with me? Fairy Tan Xiang said in a sweet voice. Chapter 1028. 1028 The Spirit God's Attack. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat when he heard Fairy Tan Xiang calling out to him. The others were also surprised. Some of the third-class prodigies looked at Lu Ming in surprise. Fairy Tan Xiang had actually invited Lu Ming to stay behind and have a drink with her. What was the meaning of this? Could it be that Fairy Tan Xiang had taken a fancy to Lu Ming? At the thought of this, many young men stared at Lu Ming with burning eyes, full of envy, jealousy, and hatred. However, Lu Ming groaned in his heart. Most likely he would ask about the stealing of the medicine. Haha, Brother Lu, Wenjin and I will take our leave. Chu Kuang cupped his fists at Lu Ming and Fairy Tan Xiang. He blinked his eyes at Lu Ming with great admiration. Lu Ming was speechless. He did not want to stay. Soon, everyone had left, leaving only Lu Ming and Fairy Tan Xiang. Brother Lu, you don't look very willing. Is sandalwood that unattractive? Why is Brother Lu in such a hurry to leave? Fairy Tan Xiang chuckled and blinked her eyes at Lu Ming. You're too kind. Fairy Tan Xiang's beauty is unparalleled in the world. It's my honor to be able to stay and drink alone with you. I'm afraid many people would be envious of me. Lu Ming coughed twice and smiled. Brother Lu, please. With a wave of her hand, Fairy Tan Xiang and Lu Ming took their seats. Brother Lu, I've never seen you before. May I know which force you come from? Fairy Tan Xiang poured Lu Ming a glass of wine and asked curiously. I'm not from any major power. I've followed Master since I was young and cultivated in the deep mountains. It wasn't until recently that I've gained some cultivation, and Master let me out of the mountains. Lu Ming made up a story. Oh really? Then your master must be an expert whose name is known throughout the world, or else he wouldn't be able to teach such an outstanding disciple. Fairy Tan Xiang asked tentatively. Then she picked up the wine cup and took a sip. Her beautiful eyes glimmered as she looked at Lu Ming. Fairy Tan Xiang's face was slightly pale, but she had a gentle beauty to her. It made people want to protect her and not lie to her. It made people have the urge to tell her all their secrets. At this moment they were alone. Facing such a beauty, Lu Ming could not help but feel a rush of excitement. He secretly took a deep breath and suppressed the fluttering in his heart, calming himself down. Central Continent's 5 great beauties, they truly lived up to their reputation. Fairy Master's name is taboo. He told me not to tell anyone. Please forgive me. I'll drink a cup as punishment. Lu Ming picked up the glass and drank it in one go. Fairy Tan Xiang chuckled and continued to pour wine for Lu Ming without asking further. After that, Fairy Tan Xiang and Lu Ming drank and chatted casually, but they did not mention anything about the herb theft that day. After a while, Lu Ming could not help but say, Fairy, the spiritual medicine incident that day was caused by my pet. It was my fault for not disciplining him well. I will definitely compensate you in full in the future. Fairy Tanxiang smiled and said, it's just some spirit herbs not worth mentioning. Brother Lu, you can take them. There's no need to compensate me. That's not what I'm curious about. If I'm not wrong, Brother Lu doesn't have any mental energy fire at all, but you can move freely in my formation. I'm very curious about this. How did you do it? Ah, luck, that's all luck. That day I was just randomly walking around. Lu Ming laughed and continued to make up nonsense. Fairy Tanxiang seemed to be dissatisfied with Lu Ming's answer and rolled her eyes at him. It was a coy and resentful look that made Lu Ming's heart throb a few times. In front of such a beauty, in front of such a gaze, how many people could remain as calm as water? Unless he was not a man, Lu Ming was a normal man. However, Fairy Tanxiang did not probe further. Everyone had their own secrets. Since Lu Ming did not want to talk about it, it would not be good to probe further. The two of them chatted for a while more before Lu Ming bade farewell to Fairy Tanxiang. Brother Lu, if you have time, you can come to the Valley of the Medicine Masters to find me. Fairy Tanxiang said. Definitely. Lu Ming bid farewell with cupped fists and left the alchemy division. After leaving the alchemy division, Lu Ming heaved a long sigh of relief. Although Goddess Sandalwood looked weak, she gave off a lot of pressure. Lu Ming could sense that her martial arts cultivation was very low, but her mental energy fire was extremely terrifying, surging like the ocean. The pressure that Goddess Tanxiang gave off was even stronger than that of Master Shui Luo and Yin Bupo. I'm afraid that Fairy Tanxiang has lit 10 mental lamps at perfection. Otherwise, she wouldn't have such a strong pressure. Lu Ming muttered to himself. Although he had defeated Blood Luo Zi, he did not dare to underestimate the other talents. Those who could become second-grade geniuses all had the potential to become emperors. None of them could be underestimated. Moreover, even if they were all second-grade heaven's favorites, there were still some who were stronger and some who were weaker. Lu Ming shook his head to get rid of the distracting thoughts. He returned to the inn and saw Chu Kuang and Zhang Wenjin. Brother Lu, we plan to go back to the floating mountain to cultivate in seclusion for a while. What about you? Where do you plan to go? Chu Kuang asked. I plan to travel and cultivate while heading to the ancient Saint Dynasty. Lu Ming said. Take care, Brother Lu. We'll meet again if there's a chance. Chu Kuang, Zhang Wenjing and Lu Ming bade their farewells and left. Not long after Chu Kuang and Zhang Wenjin left, Lu Ming left the city of Dan and headed west. After leaving the city of Pills, Lu Ming rose into the air and left in an instant. However, after flying for tens of thousands of miles, Lu Ming frowned and stopped. Ever since he left the Pill City, he felt that someone was following him. Who is it? Come out. Lu Ming's gaze turned to the back. Hee, you have sharp senses. With a sneer, two figures stepped through the air and appeared in front of Lu Ming. Cold Blood Hall, spiritual god expert. Lu Ming raised his eyebrows and his eyes looked grave. They were two middle-aged burly men. One was bald and the other had a big beard. They were dressed in blood-red robes. Most importantly, Lu Ming could not see through their auras at all. They were definitely not spirit embryo realm martial artists but spiritual god realm. Cold Blood Hall actually had two spiritual god realm experts following him. You want to take revenge for Blood Luo Zi? Lu Ming asked. The vital essence in his body began to circulate. He did not dare to be careless in the face of spiritual god realm powerhouses. Moreover, there were two of them. It's one thing to avenge young Master Shui Luo. Also, young Master Shui Luo said that you've mastered a secret technique that has a powerful devouring power. Hand over the secret technique, and perhaps you'll die a quick death. The bald man sneered. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. It turned out that Blood Luo Zi had taken a fancy to his devouring technique. It was true. The bloodthirsty technique of Cold Blood Hall was similar to the devouring technique of the 9 dragons, but the effect was very different. Naturally, Master Shui Luo was tempted. It's not that easy to kill me. There was a flash of madness in Lu Ming's eyes. Oh really? You're really confident. However, no matter how much of a genius you are, you're only at the spirit embryo realm. Now, I'll let you see the difference between the spirit embryo realm and the spiritual god realm. The bald man's eyes glowed with ferocity, then he said to the bearded brawny man, I'll attack and you'll hold the line, how about it? Sure. With that, the bearded man's figure flashed and he appeared behind Lu Ming, blocking Lu Ming's retreat. Chapter 1029. 1029 A Great Battle Against the Spirit God Expert. Boom. A terrifying aura burst out from the bald man's body. Endless blood-red light burned and jumped around the bald man like flames, making him look like a demon that had crawled out of hell. Roar, roar, roar. The dragon's roar continued to ring out from within Lu Ming's body. There were 6 consecutive dragon roars. Facing a spiritual god, Lu Ming did not dare to hold back at all. He immediately burst out with 6 streams of dragon energy. Lu Ming's body could not withstand the power of the 6 streams of dragon energy at the same time. His body became even more burly, and purple-gold scales crawled out from under his skin and covered his entire body. His claws had also become like dragon claws. The bald youth's pupils shrank and then he sneered, "Small tricks, blood axe strike, chop." The bald man stepped forward. The blood light around him condensed into a blood-red battle axe. He waved the battle axe and slashed it at Lu Ming. Boom. Lu Ming clenched his fist and cast the prison-suppressing heavenly art. 5 intents erupted at the same time, blasting toward the bald youth. The fist and the bloody axe collided, creating a terrifying vibration. The space was distorted and a hideous crack appeared. After a loud noise, Lu Ming's body trembled and he retreated rapidly. He stomped on the sky, causing loud explosions. He retreated about 100 meters before he stopped. However, that was all. Lu Ming was not injured. On the other side, the bald man's body also trembled and he took a few steps back. Impossible. The bald man roared, his eyes full of disbelief. The bearded man was the same. He looked at the scene in disbelief. Lu Ming had actually repelled the bald man. How was this possible? Lu Ming was only at the early stage of the 9th level spirit embryo realm. How could he have such terrifying combat power? Did you hold back your strength in the battle with young Master Shueluo? The bald burly man's eyes were filled with shock, which then turned into cold killing intent. 1st level of spiritual god realm. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. This bald burly man's cultivation was at the 1st level of the spiritual god realm. Moreover, Lu Ming estimated that the bloodline that he had awakened should not be too high. He stared at the bald man and didn't answer. "Brat, don't think that you can fight me just because you can block one of my moves. Die die." The bald man flew into a rage out of humiliation. His killing intent surged like the tide as he wielded the blood axe and slashed at Lu Ming continuously. Lu Ming activated the prison-suppressing heavenly art and attacked continuously, engaging in a great battle with the bald burly man. Boom, boom, boom. Terrifying explosions rang out continuously. Lu Ming circulated his 5 intents to the extreme and blocked the attacks crazily. Although he was completely at a disadvantage and was suppressed by the bald man, he finally managed to resist. After more than a dozen moves, Lu Ming was forced to retreat thousands of meters. The bearded man was always behind Lu Ming. Boom. With another move there was a huge explosion. Lu Ming retreated quickly and spat out a mouthful of blood. In the end he was injured, but his eyes were still extremely bright. Ha ha ha, so this is the combat strength of the spiritual god realm. It's nothing more than this. Lu Ming laughed and mocked him on purpose. The bald burly man's combat strength should be at the bottom of the spiritual god realm. In the spiritual god realm, even those of the same level would have a huge difference in combat strength. For example, those who had comprehended a god-level martial technique were much stronger than those who had not. This bald man had not comprehended a god-level martial technique and was only using a high-grade demigod-level martial technique. Also, the comprehension of intent and the level of bloodline determined the strength of one's combat power. This bald burly man was not very strong in all aspects. Therefore Lu Ming was able to withstand it. If it were another 1st-level spiritual god realm expert who had comprehended a divine-level martial technique, Lu Ming would definitely not be able to withstand it. "Damn it, kid, you're looking for death." The bald burly man bellowed in rage. He was actually looked down upon by Lu Ming, an ant in the spirit embryo realm. This made the bald burly man go crazy. A blood-red battle axe floated above his head, surrounded by 3 golden chakra. A 3rd-level divine rank bloodline was considered a very low-level bloodline among spiritual god realm martial artists. The bald man transformed into a blood-red battle axe and slashed at Lu Ming. The power was even more terrifying. "You're the only one with a bloodline?" The prison-suppressing steel bloodline appeared above Lu Ming's head, and his 5 meridian cycles glowed. Lu Ming transformed into the prison-suppressing steel and activated the prison-suppressing heavenly art, crashing toward the blood-red battle axe. Boom. The prison-suppressing steel was knocked away, and the blood-red axe was also knocked back. Damn it, let's attack together and cripple him. The bald man roared. Kill? Blood lion. The bearded man shouted, and a blood lion appeared above his head. It also had a third-level divine bloodline. He transformed into a blood lion and pounced at Lu Ming. He clawed at the prison-suppressing steel and sent it flying. The prison-suppressing steel kept shaking. How despicable. 2 spiritual gods actually joined forces to fight me. Aren't you afraid of being laughed at by the world if this news spreads? Lu Ming shouted. As long as I kill you and you say you can no, I'll kill you. The blood-red battle axe arrived in front of the prison-suppressing steel in an instant and slashed at Lu Ming. Suppress. The prison-suppressing steel glowed. This time, Lu Ming burst out all his vital essence and used the prison-suppressing heaven technique with all his might. The vital essence in his body was completely extracted in an instant. Clang. The prison-suppressing steel and the bloody axe collided, and both of them were pushed back hundreds of meters. There was not a drop of essential core left in Lu Ming's body. However, the essential core from the Na Yuan stone gushed into Lu Ming's body crazily and replenished his essential core. Lu Ming's essential core was instantly full. Kill, we must kill. The bald burly man was extremely shocked. Xue Luozi had told him that Lu Ming's combat strength was only slightly stronger than his. However, he now realized that Lu Ming's combat strength was not just slightly stronger than Xue Luozi's. It was a whole lot stronger. It was unbelievable that Lu Ming could block his attack and even send him flying. Roar. The blood lion roared and charged at Lu Ming. At this moment, Lu Ming had just retreated and had no time to counterattack. The blood lion's claw slammed heavily on the prison-suppressing steel, and the prison-suppressing steel collapsed instantly. However, the moment the prison-suppressing steel collapsed, a dragon's roar was heard, and a true dragon flew out. No, those were not real dragons but 9 dragons? The blood lion turned pale with fright. It had actually seen the form of the legendary 9 dragons. The moment the prison-suppressing steel's bloodline was destroyed, Lu Ming burst out his 9 dragons bloodline and flew out as 9 dragons. The 9 dragon claws stepped in the air, and a terrifying power blasted toward the blood lion. In its alarm, the blood lion was unable to unleash its full power, and the 9 dragons charged past it. Let's go. Lu Ming did not hesitate to use the 9 dragons' heaven-treading steps to escape the encirclement. With his current combat strength, he was not a match for a spiritual God Realm master. He could not even defeat 1, let alone 2. If he continued to fight, he would only die of exhaustion. Damn it, chase. The blood-red battle axe transformed back into the bald man and chased after Lu Ming with a furious roar. The blood lion also transformed into human form and chased after Lu Ming. However, with the 9 dragons form and the 9 dragons sky-treading steps, his speed was amazing. Slowly he pulled away from the bald man and the bald man. Chapter 1030. 1030 Breakthrough Mutation. After traveling hundreds of thousands of miles, Lu Ming rushed into a forest and transformed into his human form. A long spear condensed in his hand and spun rapidly like a drill. With a puff, Lu Ming rushed into the ground. The long spear dug a hole in the ground. Lu Ming rushed in and at the same time, his essential core burst forth. The hole behind him collapsed and blocked the hole. Lu Ming kept drilling into the ground. He only stopped after he had gone down about 100 miles. With a thought, Lu Ming appeared in the mountain and river diagram. Deep underground there was only one mountain and river diagram. The moment Lu Ming entered the mountain and river diagram, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Previously he had been hit by the blood lion twice in a row and had suffered quite a bit of injury. The spiritual God realm is really powerful. I'm not even a match for the most ordinary spiritual God realm. Lu Ming pondered secretly. The bald man and the bearded man were definitely at the bottom of the spiritual God realm. They were weak in all aspects, but Lu Ming was still not a match for them. Previously he had already unleashed his strongest battle prowess and used all of his techniques. Even so, he was still at a disadvantage when facing the bald man alone. Unless he used the prison-suppressing heaven technique with all his might and unleashed his strongest attack, he would not be able to match the bald man. However, Lu Ming's most powerful attack would exhaust his essential core with just one move. If it were not for the spatial elemental stone, he would not have dared to use it. When I break through to the great circle of the spirit embryo realm, I won't be afraid of the weakest spirit god. I can even suppress them. Lu Ming summed up his own abilities. Then he circulated the true war dragon technique and started to heal his injuries. Just as Lu Ming entered the mountain and river diagram, the bald man and the bearded man appeared in the sky above the forest. Damn it! How did that kid's aura disappear? The bald man shouted angrily. He should be hiding. Let's force him out. The bearded man's eyes flickered with a cold light as he slammed his palm down. A 10-mile-long blood-colored palm print covered the sky and smashed toward the ground. Boom. The mountains exploded and the earth caved in. A 10-mile-wide and 10-mile-deep palm print appeared on the ground. Around the palm print were countless cracks that spread in all directions. Countless demonic beasts were turned into ashes by this palm. Then force him out. The bald man waved his hands and countless terrifying blood-red lights slashed toward the vast land. Boom. 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 Mountains exploded, ancient trees crumbled, and the earth sank. Countless living beings were turned into ashes under the attacks of the two. This place looked like it was the end of the world. The destructive power of a spiritual god realm master's full-force attack was too shocking. Not long after, the ground within a radius of 1,000 miles was split open and pierced through. All kinds of deep pits and cracks filled the area. The originally lively mountains and peaks had become deathly silent. After more than 10 minutes, the bald man and the bearded man stood in the air with ugly expressions. There was no trace of Lu Ming. He could not sense any trace of Lu Ming either. Lu Ming had escaped. The two spiritual god powerhouses were supposed to be in the bag. Now that Lu Ming had escaped, they did not know how to answer to Master Blood Luo. Damn it, the next time I see him, I'll skin him alive. The bald man gritted his teeth. Forget it, let's go back. The ancient herb garden is more important. After spending so much time, it's finally about to open. The big bearded man said. And? The bald man nodded and the two of them left. 100 miles underground, Lu Ming was healing his injuries in the mountain and river diagram. A day later, Lu Ming's injuries had fully recovered. The Earth Essence realm seems to have loosened. Lu Ming's eyes suddenly lit up. After the previous battle, Lu Ming realized that the Earth concept that had been stuck at a bottleneck had finally loosened up and there were signs of a breakthrough. Lu Ming placed the path understanding ancient tree at the side, closed his eyes and focused on his comprehension. In the blink of an eye, 2 days had passed. 2 days later, Lu Ming was surrounded by the five-colored concept. His aura was stronger than it was 2 days ago. I've finally broken through to the great circle of level 3 Earth concept. Lu Ming opened his eyes and a faint smile appeared at the corners of his lips. Now, his water concept was at the 4th level, while his wind, fire, thunder, and earth concepts were at the 3rd level, which was the great circle. Now that Lu Ming had unleashed all 5 of his concepts, the power was much stronger than it was a few days ago. This was because the Earth Essence realm was only at the peak of level 3 upper tier. If I were to face Blood Luo Z now, even if I don't use the prison-suppressing heavenly technique or my bloodline, I can still suppress him. Lu Ming thought in his heart. It's been 3 days. Those two guys should have left by now. Let's go out and take a look. With a single thought, Lu Ming exited the mountain and river diagram and continued to condense the long spear. He dug through the ground and headed toward the surface. Not long after, Lu Ming appeared on the ground silently. He was speechless as he looked at the desolate surroundings. He knew very well that the bald man and the burly man must have wreaked havoc in the surroundings in order to find him. Looks like they've left. Master Shui Luo, I'll have to settle this score with you sooner or later. A cold glint flashed in Lu Ming's eyes and he was about to head west. At this moment, Lu Ming's gaze shifted and he looked in the south direction. In an unknown distance, a green pillar of light shot up into the sky. What's that? Could it be that a treasure has appeared? Lu Ming was secretly surprised. Spiritual herbs. I can sense the aura of countless spiritual herbs. Charge. Lu Ming, charge. Dandan appeared on Lu Ming's shoulder, shouting and wrangling, her small eyes shining. All right, let's go and take a look. Lu Ming's figure moved and he headed in the direction of the light pillar. At this moment, the light pillar could be seen within a radius of 100,000 miles. The light pillar is soaring into the sky. There must be a treasure coming into being. Let's go and take a look. Let's go, this is my great opportunity. From all directions, everyone who saw the light pillar rushed towards it. Haha, this opportunity is mine. A red-haired elder with a soaring aura rushed toward the light pillar. He was a spiritual god realm existence. The treasure's appearance attracted everyone's attention. Lu Ming soon approached the area where the light pillar was. It was a vast and endless mountain and forest. It's actually here? Lu Ming stopped in the air, feeling a little surprised. Lu Ming was very familiar with the forest in front of him. He had passed through this forest when he, Chu Kuang and Zhang Wenjin were on their way to the heavenly pillar. They also encountered a spiritual god realm expert from Cold Blood Hall who massacred an entire town to heal himself. Lu Ming and the other two even had a fierce battle with the spiritual god realm expert. Lu Ming was originally heading west. Previously he had a huge battle with the bald man and the burly man. When he escaped, he chose a random direction. He did not expect to be near this place. Could it be that the injured spiritual god expert from Cold Blood Hall was related to this light pillar? What ruins did Cold Blood Hall find here? Lu Ming could not help but let his imagination run wild. Chapter 1031. 1031 The Ancient Herb Garden. The injured spiritual god stage powerhouse was in this forest. Now the light pillar was also in this forest. Lu Ming had no choice but to link the two together. It seems that even if there are treasures here, it won't be easy to get them. There must be spiritual god realm powerhouses here. Lu Ming thought to himself. However, he did not retreat just like that. Instead, he concealed his aura and flew down the mountain forest, sprinting in the direction of the light pillar. Buzz, whoosh. When he was about to reach the light pillar, he heard the sound of something breaking through the air from other directions. Lu Ming discovered 3 burly men and 2 elders. They were moving forward at high speed and rushed into a circle of light. They were the martial artists nearby who had been attracted here. What a big formation. As he neared the light pillar, Lu Ming could sense that there was a huge formation in front of him. On one side of the formation, there was a gap that formed a circle of light. The green light pillar had burst out from this gap. From the gap, there was an extremely dense spiritual qi. It was obvious that a hole had been opened in this great array. Lu Ming, there's a herb garden inside. I can smell spiritual herbs. Dandan twitched her nose and kept sniffing. A medicinal garden? Could it be Medicine King's Valley's medicine garden? Lu Ming was shocked. The Valley of the Medicine Masters was not far from here. When Lu Ming heard about the herb garden, the first thing he thought of was the Valley of the Medicine Masters. I don't think so. This array is very terrifying, but it was set up a long time ago. I'm afraid it's been more than 1,000,000 years. Dandan said. 1,000,000 years or more? Lu Ming was shocked. 1,000,000 years ago wasn't that ancient times. This was an ancient medicine garden. Let's go in and take a look. Lu Ming's figure flashed and he rushed into the circle of light, disappearing. The ancient herb garden was sealed by a large array. After so many years, there might be extremely precious spirit herbs. Lu Ming did not want to miss it. Within the light circle there were also mountains and forests. However, the heaven and earth spiritual qi was dozens of times denser than the outside. There was another kind of energy in the spiritual qi, the origin qi. Lu Ming swept his gaze around and realized that the flowers, grass, and trees here were more lively and were growing more luxuriantly. Lu Ming, let's go. I can smell the spiritual herbs. Dandan shouted, spread her short legs and ran forward. Lu Ming followed Dandan and walked forward. At the same time he observed his surroundings carefully. We're late. Some of the spirit herbs have been dug away. Along the way Dandan found a few pits inside. Judging from the aura of the remaining spirit herbs, they were probably all level 8 spirit herbs. Level 8 spiritual herbs were dozens of times more precious than level 7 spiritual herbs. Clearly, there were already quite a number of people who came in before, and the spirit herbs were all dug up. Dandan didn't go straight forward but continued to fly to the left. After 10,000 miles they finally found spiritual herbs. 2 of them were level 8 spiritual herbs. They dug them out and stuffed them into their mouths with joy. They found quite a few spiritual herbs along the way. They were at least level 7 and many of them were level 8. Lu Ming did not snatch it from Dandan and gave it all to her. Now that his physical body had achieved complete grade 8, ordinary grade 8 spiritual medicine would not be of much use if he wanted to break through to grade 9. He could only do so if he obtained a grade 9 spiritual medicine. It was not easy to cultivate the 9th grade body, because the 9th grade body was the highest realm of the body and the foundation to break through to the martial emperor realm. Only by cultivating the body to the completion of the 9th grade body could one break through to the martial emperor realm. However, it was very difficult for the body to break through to rank 9. It was even more difficult to complete the breakthrough. In fact, many second and even third-class geniuses in the central continent had cultivated their physical bodies to the peak of the 8th stage. After all, he was a prodigy from an overlord force. His physical body cultivation technique was definitely top-notch. It was not inferior to Lu Ming's 10,000 spiritual combat body. It might even be better. He also had plenty of resources. Naturally, his physical body was strong. Lu Ming needed level 9 spiritual herbs. Boom. Boom. Suddenly, a deafening roar came from the front. Lu Ming's expression changed slightly. Someone was fighting. Let's go and take a look. Lu Ming grabbed Dandan and walked forward. There were 2 old men in front of him attacking the other 2. The other 2 people were a middle-aged man and a young woman. At this moment, the burly man and the woman were completely at a disadvantage. The 2 old men were both in the great circle of the spirit embryo realm, and the burly man was also in the great circle of the spirit embryo realm. They were locked in a battle with one of the old men. On the other hand, the young woman was only at the 6th level of the spirit embryo realm. Although she was also a heaven's favorite with powerful combat strength, she was no match for the elder at the perfected spirit embryo realm with her 6th level spirit embryo realm cultivation. She could be killed at any time. Miss? The burly man roared and wanted to help, but he was held back by the other party and couldn't get away. He die. An old man sneered. At this moment, Lu Ming had already quietly approached. He immediately relaxed when he saw that the strongest was only at the perfected spirit embryo realm. Ah, that's Zhou Xan. Lu Ming's eyes flickered as he recognized the woman. Back in the Pill City, Zhou Xan was the one who gave Lu Ming a piece of purple jade that contained the storage elemental stone. Lu Ming was still very grateful to Zhou Xan. Now that Zhou Xan was in trouble, he naturally wouldn't leave her in the lurch. Buzz. His body flashed and he charged towards the old man who had attacked Zhou Xan. Upon hearing the commotion, the few of them turned to look at Lu Ming. It's you? Zhou Xan's gaze flickered and she recognized Lu Ming. A 9th level spirit embryo realm brat is courting death. The old man grinned and revealed a ferocious expression. His claws were like blades as he clawed at Lu Ming. Whoosh! Lu Ming waved his hand and a ray of spear light pierced through the elder's defense. It was as easy as crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood as it pierced towards the elder's glabella. No, spare my life. The old man was extremely shocked. He knew that he had encountered a terrifying heaven's favorite, but it was already too late. The old man was pierced by the spear radiance and died. The other old man who was fighting with the middle-aged man saw this and was scared out of his wits. He immediately ran away, but a spear light flashed and nailed the old man to the ground. This? Zhou Xan was stunned. From the moment Lu Ming appeared, the 2 great circle spirit embryo experts were instantly killed by him. They did not have the slightest ability to resist. Miss Zhou, I didn't expect to see you here. Do you still remember me? Lu Ming smiled faintly. Young Master Lu, I didn't expect you to be this strong. Zhou Xan's eyes flickered and she was a little surprised. Zhou Xan guessed that Lu Ming was a 3rd grade heaven's favorite since he was able to kill 2 perfected spirit embryo realm experts so easily. Miss? The burly man came to Zhou Xan's side and called out in concern. Uncle Lu, I'm fine. This is young Master Lu Xiaoqing. Zhou Xan introduced. Thank you, young Master Lu, for saving me. The middle-aged man cupped his fists, but there was a hint of vigilance in his eyes. Young Master Lu, are you here to look for spirit herbs too? Zhou Xan asked. That's right. I was attracted by the light pillar so I came to take a look. Lu Ming nodded. Chapter 1032. 1032 Chapter 1032 Sky Vermilion Fruit. Young Master Lu, please be careful. This time we have attracted many strong cultivators. I plan to take a walk around the periphery. I will not go deeper. There are too many strong cultivators inside. Zhou Xan replied. Oh, Do you need me to accompany you? Lu Ming asked. In his heart he was grateful to Zhou Xian. She had given him the Nanyuan stones back then. If Zhou Xian needed help, he would not reject her. There's no need. Uncle Lu and I are weak. If we go with young Master Lu, we might drag you down. It's better for young Master Lu to act alone, Zhou Xian replied. Hearing Zhou Xian's words, Lu Ming didn't force her and bade them farewell. However, before he left, his devouring power erupted and completely devoured the blood essence and true vitality of the two elders with great perfection spirit embryos. Lu Ming didn't want to let go of the blood essence and energy of two great perfection spirit embryo experts. After devouring them, he continued to move forward. Zhou Xian and the middle-aged man were shocked when they saw the two old men turned into two dried corpses. Lu Ming, that young lady seems to have something on. She doesn't want others to go with her. She's sending you away on purpose, Dandan said. Lu Ming nodded. He had the same feeling. He felt that Zhou Xian had something on and did not want to be with him. However, this was someone else's private matter, so he couldn't be bothered to care about it. As he walked, he searched for spirit herbs. Not long after, the two elders' energy was completely refined by Lu Ming. Naturally, the level of his blood meridian did not increase. As for Lu Ming's cultivation, the increase was minimal. With my current cultivation, it's almost useless to devour a great circle spirit embryo martial artist. My progress is too slow. Only by devouring a spirit god expert can I quickly improve. Lu Ming pondered secretly. The area here was very large. Very soon, Lu Ming had traveled about 10,000 miles. Buzz. In front of him, a figure flashed by at a terrifying speed. It's him? There was a flash of killing intent in Lu Ming's eyes. Lu Ming could clearly see that the figure was a bald, burly man. He was the spiritual god expert from Cold Blood Hall who had chased after him. As expected, the Cold Blood Hall experts were here. The bald man did not notice Lu Ming. He kept flying forward and disappeared into the sky in the blink of an eye. After that, Lu Ming became more careful and slowed down. He kept running through the forest below. Along the way, the harvest was not bad. They collected a lot of spiritual herbs, many of which were level 8 spiritual herbs. Dandan could not stop smiling. This herb garden was an ancient herb garden. It had been there for a long time and the spiritual chi was rich. It was normal for the level of the spirit herbs to be higher. Unfortunately, no level 9 spirit herbs had been found. Level 9 spirit herbs were much rarer than level 8 spirit herbs. Suddenly, there was a continuous flash of light in front of him, and a faint sound came. There's another battle over there. Lu Ming's eyes flickered and he quickly headed in that direction. After a few hundred miles, Lu Ming appeared on a mountain peak and looked into the distance. There was a lake in front of them, and in the middle of the lake was a small island. A towering tree stood on the small island. This tree was rooted on the island, but its crown was extremely huge, and its area was even larger than the island. There were fruits on the tree. The fruits were the size of a faceplate and were fiery red in color. They were filled with surging energy. That's the sky vermilion fruit. Lu Ming recognized the fruit. He was shocked and then overjoyed. The sky vermilion fruit was an extremely rare and precious fruit. This kind of fruit contained extremely powerful and pure energy. When a warrior consumed it, it could help him break through to the next realm. As long as one had reached the realm of the essence realm of heaven and earth, eating this fruit could help one quickly increase their true essence and break through to the next realm. This fruit was too precious. The spirit embryo realm and the spiritual god realm after that were not as simple as comprehending intent. Some people had reached the intent realm, but their cultivation was not that easy to improve. For example, many second-grade heavens favorites such as Shui Luozi and Junyu had reached the 4th level of intent realm. However, their cultivation was still stuck in the spirit embryo realm. This showed how difficult it was to comprehend intent realm and improve their cultivation. Even if Lu Ming had the 9 dragons bloodline, unless he could devour spiritual god powerhouses or devour and refine a large number of raw gemstones, it would be troublesome for him to level up. However, once he had the sky vermilion fruit, his cultivation would be able to increase rapidly. I must get this sky vermilion fruit. Lu Ming's eyes were bright. As long as he could obtain a few sky vermilion fruits, Lu Ming's cultivation would break through to the perfected spirit embryo realm. This was because his heaven and earth essence realm had already met the requirements. However, he was not in a hurry now. That was because the sky vermilion fruit tree was protected by a large array. A layer of light enveloped the sky vermilion fruit tree within it. There were 7 martialists who were constantly bombarding the light screen in an attempt to break the formation. The light screen formed by the formation was shaking non-stop, as if it had been there for a long time. It's almost broken. Some people's eyes were shining with a fiery light, and at the same time, they were looking at the others vigilantly. Previously, they had joined forces to break the formation because they wanted to break it. Now that the formation was about to be broken, they began to have their own ulterior motives. Whoosh! Suddenly a sword light flashed. One of the green-robed elders attacked an old woman beside him. I knew you would make a move. The old woman let out a roar and waved her hands, sending out palm prints to fight the old man. Buzz! An iron rod swept out towards the green-robed old man. The green-robed old man was caught off guard and his head was hit. He was killed before he could even scream. You're looking for death, kill? You're the one who's going to die. The formation had yet to be broken, and the remaining 6 people were in complete chaos, fighting each other. These people were all experts, at least at the 6th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. They were rogue cultivators from the nearby area who had been attracted by the light pillar. In just a few breaths of time, 2 screams rang out and 2 of the weaker cultivators were killed. The battle between the remaining 4 was even more intense. At this moment, a figure stepped through the air and arrived. Pure spatial spirit. Lu Ming was slightly shocked. This woman who came from the sky stepped on the clouds with her jade-like feet. Her entire body was shrouded in clouds and mist, like an ethereal fairy. Who else could she be if not Jing Kongling? Pure spatial spirit. The 4 of them were in the middle of a battle, but when they saw Jing Kongling, they were all shocked and stopped fighting. The sky vermilion fruit is mine, you guys can leave. The pure and ethereal voice was very calm and ethereal, without any emotion. Jing Kongling, you're too overbearing. We found the sky vermilion fruit tree first. We're about to break through the formation too. Now that you've appeared, you want to take it all for yourself? You're too greedy. An old woman called out. You can stay here forever. The pure spatial spirit spoke calmly, but the aura on her body was extremely strong. A few streams of water appeared around her, turning into a few water dragons that danced around her. The 4 of them looked very upset. They were unwilling to accept this, but they knew that with their cultivation, they would definitely die if they were to fight against Jing Kongling. This was the top heaven's favorite of the central continent, and his combat strength was too strong. These few pieces of trash indeed need to get lost first. An ear-piercing sneer suddenly rang out. In the distance, a rainbow light flew over at extreme speed. The next moment, a red-haired old man appeared in the sky. Chapter 1033. 1033 The weakest spiritual god. A red-haired old man appeared. His aura was violent and his eyes were burning as he stared at the sky vermilion fruits. Red shame venerable. The old woman exclaimed. The other people's faces also changed drastically. Even Jing Kongling's expression changed slightly and became serious. Only a spirit god expert could be called a venerable. This red-haired old man was a spiritual god realm existence. Now these scarlet fruits are mine. Get lost. Venerable Chi Kuei's eyes swept the surroundings, filled with killing intent. The old woman and the other 3's expressions changed, their eyes filled with respect. Venerable Chi Kuei was very famous in the nearby area. He didn't come from any major power, but was a rogue cultivator. It was not easy for a rogue cultivator to reach the spiritual god realm. Moreover, Venerable Chi Kuei was famous for his ruthlessness. Let's go. Even though the old woman was unwilling, the sky vermilion fruit was not worth mentioning compared to her life. She gritted her teeth and left. The other 3 also left the place. Only Chi Kuei Knight and Jing Kongling were left above the lake. Jing Kongling, you're not leaving? Venerable Chi Kuei looked at Jing Kongling. You can't scare me, the pure spatial spirit, with your title as a venerable. Jing Kongling said. You want to fight me? Venerable Chi Kuei's eyes flashed. We can try. Qing Junling said. Haha, youngsters these days are getting bolder and bolder. With your cultivation at the peak of the 9th level spirit embryo realm, you think you're my match? Venerable Chi Kuei sneered. Venerable Qi Kuei had lived for thousands of years and had broken through to the spiritual god realm for thousands of years. In the past, there was no young man who dared to be impudent in front of him. After all, the gap between the spirit embryo realm and the spiritual god realm was extremely huge. But now, a young man at the peak of the 9th level spirit embryo realm wanted to fight him. There's always been a rumor in the world that this era is the golden age, and there are as many geniuses as clouds. Each and every one of them is incomparably powerful. I don't believe that a mere 9th level spirit embryo realm can be that powerful. Qi Kuei Zunjia sneered as red flames burst out of his body. His terrifying aura pressed down on Jing Kongling. Jing Kongling waved her hands, and more water true dragons appeared around her, pouncing toward Venerable Qi Kuei. Boom, boom, boom. The fire and the water dragon collided, making a sizzling sound and stirring up water vapor. The scene was suddenly filled with fog. The pure space spiritual jade stepped in the air. Wherever she stepped, vines appeared and wrapped around Venerable Qi Kuei like soft whips. Fire Demon Palm. Venerable Qi Kuei clapped his hands several times and flames burst forth. The mist that filled the air was directly burned away, and the vines were also enveloped by the flames and burned to ashes. However, more vines appeared in the air. At the same time, the lake water below churned and turned into water swords, slashing toward Venerable Qi Kuei. Boom, boom, boom. After exchanging a few moves with Venerable Qi Kuei, the pure spatial spirit was not at a disadvantage. Wood mentality, water mentality, shattering mentality, and pure spatial spirit. I can't believe he has cultivated 3 mentalities. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. The pure spatial spirit was extremely powerful. It was definitely not weaker than Blood Luozi and might even be stronger. Break. Fire Demon God Fist. Venerable Qi Kuei's fists continued to blast out, and the flaming fist force swept in all directions, displaying the terrifying strength of the spiritual god realm to the fullest. Wherever the fist force passed by, the vines exploded and the water swords were annihilated. At this point, the pure spatial spirit was finally at a disadvantage. A spiritual god realm expert was too terrifying. Void-breaking divine palm. Die. Jing Kengling shouted as she kept striking out with her palms. The palm power that contained 3 wills turned into a blue palm print and shot toward Venerable Qi Kuei. The sky continued to shake, but the pure spatial spirit was still at a disadvantage and was suppressed by the flaming fist force. But at this moment, Honored Sir Qi Kuei was extremely shocked. These prodigies are indeed terrifying. I've only heard of them in the past, but I didn't expect them to be even more terrifying than I've heard. They're only at the 9th level of the spirit embryo realm, but they can actually contend with me. Venerable Qi Kuei was secretly shocked, and at the same time, cold killing intent flashed in his eyes. Since he had offended such a terrifying heaven's favorite, he had to kill him completely. Otherwise there would be endless trouble in the future. Come out. Venerable Qi Kuei roared as the bloodline appeared above his head. He was going to activate his bloodline power and kill Jing Kongling. His bloodline was a large dog with flames all over its body. This was a hellhound. However, there were only 2 golden chakras. Venerable Qi Kuei's bloodline was only at the 2nd level of the divine level. His combat strength was slightly weaker than that of the bald man and the bearded man who had chased after Lu Ming. Within the spiritual god realm, he was one of the weakest. After all, it was not easy for a 2nd-ranked divine bloodline to break through to the spiritual god realm. Venerable Qi Kuei had also broken through to the spiritual god realm by chance. His combat strength was at the bottom of the spiritual god realm. Therefore, for so many years, he didn't dare to provoke the other spiritual gods. He didn't expect that even a young man would be so powerful that he could fight with him. The pure spatial spirit frowned and a round bead appeared above his head. Water vapor swirled around the bead and 8 golden chakras shone around it. At this moment, Lu Ming stepped into the air. Lu Ming walked out and immediately attracted the attention of the 2 people. Lu Shaoqing. At the sight of Lu Ming, the pristine spirit's eyes lit up. As for Venerable Qi Kuei, he frowned. Seeing the 2 of them fighting and still daring to step out, it couldn't be simple. He was now very afraid of these young geniuses. Miss Kongling, how about we join forces? When the time comes, we'll split the sky vermilion fruit equally. Lu Ming said. All right. The ethereal spirit agreed without any hesitation. She was not a match for Scarlet Venerable alone and would probably have to retreat in the end. With Lu Ming's help, she might be able to fight Scarlet Venerable. Lu Ming had the same thought. He might be able to fight against Venerable Chikue alone, but it was almost impossible for him to win. That was why he stepped out and joined forces with the pure spatial spirit. If you want to join forces to deal with me, I'll kill you first. Venerable Chikue roared as he turned into a hellhound and pounced towards Jing Kongling. The pure spatial spirit also used bloodline fusion and turned into a pearl. The pearl grew in size rapidly, and with the sound of waves, it shot towards Chikue Knight. At the same time, Lu Ming burst forth with 4 streams of dragon energy. His body was like a stream of light as he pounced towards the hellhound. He activated the prison-suppressing heavenly art and struck out with his palm. Boom. Boom. With 2 loud bangs, the 3 parties collided. Then the hellhound was seen staggering backward. Impossible. Venerable Chikue roared. He was actually forced to retreat by 2 juniors, Lu Ming and Jing Kongling. How was this possible? He roared and pounced at Lu Ming and the pristine void spirit again. The bead shook and the waves roared. The bead seemed to contain the water of an ocean, which was extremely terrifying and could crush everything. Lu Ming's palm contained the power of the prison-suppressing steel and the 5-colored will. It was extremely terrifying. Boom. Boom. The explosions continued, but the final result was that the hellhound was at a disadvantage and was suppressed. This result made the hellhound extremely shocked. Although he was the weakest in the spiritual god realm, he was still in the spiritual god realm. He had never thought that he would be suppressed by 2 youths in the 9th level of the spirit embryo realm. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.